racers. You asked for it, and we're going to bring it. Introducing Florida Karting Championship, FLKC, a brand new racing series coming to Florida in 2026.
Well, it's time to go racing here in KA Masters. So we get set to go green here. Vorpagel on the pole position for the 402 is green flag in the air, and that's a good start for that inside line. Randy Klimek, Adam Kreppen up there, Nicky Coelho in this field as well, Christian Vormir, and more. That's a great start for the inside to get a good jump.
Adam Kreppen taking it from the start. They're already building a gap, but it looks like Coelho, or sorry, it's Vermeer, already creeping in, trying to stay with him as we complete this first lap.
And again, talking to Nate Dean at round number 1, he was saying that Adam Kreppen had been flawless in Route 66 racing action. Nobody had even been close to him, throughout the weekends. And I believe he lost that, flawless streak over at K1 Circuit Whiteland. And again, I'm probably going to correct myself later on, but what a start here so far for Adam Kreppen. The 437 with a good start. Vormir right behind him. Nicky Coelho putting himself in third. Coelho, the 81, one of the drivers that we're so used to seeing over at the national scene. He's with us here this weekend, as well as Klimek, 409, currently P4.
Coelho there on your screen. We're about to go into lap number 2 here. Lap 3, excuse me. Looks like Vormir is staying with Kreppen, about half a second gap, but he's not letting Kreppen get away. Doing exactly what he needs to early in this heat race. It's a little early to call your race quits now or try and save it. He's doing exactly what he needs to do.
Yeah, and again, looking back to the opening round, saw the likes of Brian Boley join us. Brad Britton was with us as well at the opening round, the 417. I believe not with us here this week in the number 9, driver in 9th right now. The 417, no times for him yet. I think he's with us. We saw Jacob Neary as well join us. But the battle for the lead starting to get closer. Vormir closing in on Adam Kreppen through the straightaway. You talk about the draft. Is he going to have a look on the inside of 2? Stays in line.
And turn 2's probably the best passing zone, but it's also the trickiest. As you see into 3, there's a move. Over under from Kreppen. He gets it done. And Vormir tried it. You want to be careful how much you do that, or else you're going to let Coelho back into the fold and you'll have a 3-car race instead of a 2. But man, Kreppen, he knows he's there now. He knows that he's got someone breathing down his neck. I haven't seen him look back yet. But turn 2 is probably one of your best passing zones because you're going to get right to the rear bumper, but that chicane is so tight and it's really tricky to pass there without any contact.
Yeah, looking back at the opening round, Brian Boley was able to snap Adam Kreppen's unbeaten streak in Route 66 competition, where Kreppen finished 3rd and Britton finished 2nd, who's not with us here this weekend. Vormir wasn't with us either on that opening round of the year. But nonetheless, he's been really competitive. And again, for Vormir from here on out, it's about having the element of surprise, right, Kyle? Just kind of trying to surprise Adam Kreppen in a corner or a place he's not going to be expecting it, right? You already showed your hand in turn 3. You got to try it somewhere else to try and, keep that element of surprise.
Yeah, here with 11 laps to go, I mean, you already showed your hand a little bit. You don't want to, now you might want to wait until the end when he's least expecting it, or maybe you jump the gun a little bit. He hasn't really gotten the run that he has there he goes again, right up to the rear bumper, going into 2. Still sitting and waiting.
We've also talked about it a lot, right? I mean, it's these races are quite long with 15 laps throughout the heat races. You know, this whole weekend's going to be a marathon. It's a marathon all the way to the end of the year as well. So picking up those points where it matters for Kreppen, who's in it for the long run, who's in it for the championship. You know, heat races like this where he's picking up points is huge for him, and the same for Vormir, right? Throughout the weekend to put himself in a good spot as well before we get into main event action. Just putting yourself in a good position as well, seeing where you're lacking either that little bit of pace compared to Adam Kreppen and you know, his machine. And Kreppen does have the upper hand by 1/10 of a second, and you see how Vormir just closes in into turn number 2, Kyle. It's kind of, that's going to be the name of the game. That's going to be the story here in Masters, right? Just from here on out, right, it's fine-tuning in racing action, whether that's gear, whether that's setup, you know, whatever that may be, to put yourself in the position to have opportunities to make passes. That's going to be the name of the game here, I think, for Christian Vormir as well, right? Using it as a learning, kind of a learning experience in Heat 1. Heat race number 2, that's when you attack, whenever you have your equipment dialed in.
For sure. I mean, if you look at a delta, you'll see Kreppen in this final corner kind of takes off a little bit. And this is one of the closest I think Vormir's been. So we'll see if he might try something to 3, but Vormir just really just closes in here into 2, right on the back bumper. Kind of equal out through the chicane. And yeah, I mean, he's not quite there to get it done yet with 6 laps to go.
Well, he just went 1/10 quicker there, Kyle. 49.709 for Vormir. Kreppen with a 49.8 the last time around, and you can see it visibly, right? It's been about a car length in between the Techno Kart and the OTK machine of Kreppen. And it's kind of been like a little bit of a accordion effect, right? It closes in, it opens back up, it closes in, it opens back up. And that's just lap by lap. Whether Vormir's hitting his marks or whether Kreppen's starting to pace himself a little bit halfway through this race, or in the last third of this race as we start lap number 10.
Yeah, he's right there. And, you know, lap times last time, just a couple hundredths of a second. But, yeah, I think I mean, we'll see Vormir right on the back of the cart on Kreppen here.
Yeah, nothing yet. As we start lap number 11, Kreppen's starting to stretch his legs a little. And you see that translate into the lap times of 49.6 for Kreppen. Vormir, a 49.8.
Yeah, Vormir had a bad lap the last lap.
And you see that long run pace as well, right? I mean, making sure your tires are in that good enough window to last you the 15 laps, because these heat races are pretty lengthy, right? In some places where you may go, 15 laps is the length of your main event, whether that's a club scene or a club race. And given that, right, with about 49-second laps, you got to be on it, right? These laps come at you fast, and we talk about consistency and the long run pace as well. I think whenever we look on the main events, that we're probably going to be close to 20 laps for the main events, about 18, I believe. So all this stuff is really going to come into play. So, you know, like I was saying earlier, you're in Vormir's shoes this time by. It's about fine tuning that last little bit to be able to make that move stick that he tried in turn number 3, right?
Yeah, it's all about just putting together the perfect lap, getting as close as you can, and just trying that move again, and then learning something from the over-under, right? You might want to park it in the middle of the apex, might want to, you know, do something different so that doesn't happen again. But it looks to me like Kreppen is just, he's kind of in the zone right now. He's hit all of his marks. Built a little bit of a gap that he didn't have earlier in the race towards the later stages, and with approaching 3 laps to go here this time by, about to start working lap 13 out of 15. I mean, it looks like Kreppen last time by Yeah, still faster.
And as well, I mean, to take a look back over at KA100 Circuit Whiteland, like, look at the weekend that Adam Kreppen had, right? Swept everything up to the main event, and then, you know, you're what I think was about 2 years of an unbeaten streak, 8 races, I think, total for Adam Kreppen, where he hadn't lost a race in Route 66 competition, and you lose it in the main event, where you'd been faster than everybody else. That's definitely going to sting a little bit for the 437, and coming into this weekend here at Road America, for Adam Kreppen, he's going to be hungry, right, to get back up to that top step, because there's times where I think you find yourself winning so much, you kind of forget how special it is to be up there at the top step, how special it is to be the driver that everybody's chasing week after week. And I know he's going to want to get that feeling back here this weekend after, you know, missing it at the opening round of Route 66 competition. So for Kreppen, it's not only of staying fast, but it's also improving, right? Getting faster and faster and faster session after session. And that's the key where I think over at KA100 Circuit Whiteland, it was almost like, I don't want to say got complacent, but everybody else caught up, and it was that much harder to stay ahead. So I think not getting complacent here this weekend is going to be the name of the game, because you have the likes of Vomir, the likes of Nicky Coelho, right, that, you know, they figured out in heat race number 2 come tomorrow. They're going to be challenging you again in that main event to try and go 2 for 2 in what would be, I think, if you want to say the longest streak of Kreppen's career where he hasn't run in Route 66 competition, which is crazy to say because that's only 2 races if we get into the main event. But that being said, I mean, we've seen his quality, right? The consistency out there on the racetrack. His hands, very, very minimal movement here, Kyle, where he looks to be, you know, driving with finesse here at Road America.
Yeah, very, very confident, I would say, is what it looks to be like. You know, you say getting complacent. Well, it's only heat 1, but he's off to a good start, and we'll see how the rest of the weekend unfolds. It's only heat number 1, and yeah, Adam Kreppen off to a great start here. Coming off the final corner, takes the win, dominates flag to flag. Adam Kreppen gets the win in KA Masters.
Just got to stay on it from here on out for Adam Kreppen. Flawless in heat race number 1. They challenged him early, withstood the pressure. White flag in the air.
Oh.
So our time actually incorrect there. Apologies from our side. But even then, right, flawless for Adam Kreppen so far in this race. So apologies for that. But that being said, right, he's been flawless. Just has to stay on it for one more lap. And we're seeing that, right? That was about, so we're going to see 16 laps, it seems like, throughout the heat races. Again, pretty lengthy heat races for them. But for Kreppen, right, just being on it, we'll call it this time. Checkered flag in the air. Flawless for Adam Kreppen in heat race number 1. We'll see him go back out tomorrow morning for his warm-up session. Christian Vormir to Nicky Coelho, Randy Klemek, Ryan Heeman, Dean Levite, Nathan Williams, Bill Vorpagel, back to Brad Britton, who didn't start this heat race, I believe, not here this weekend. Registered for the entire year, though. So what a start to the weekend for Adam Kreppen, as we look forward to more racing action set to come your way. 206 Sportsman coming up next. Here we go, 2:06 Sportsman getting set to hit the racetrack now as we look on your starting grid. Will Feidinger, Henrik McKay on row number 1, Dominic Gaddis and Austin Taylor on row number 2, Clayton Stiles and Arlo Barr on row number 3.
Camila Kanash and Jackson Reynolds on row number 4. Jerome Wickham and Tori Dangerous Daniels on row number 5.
Back to row number 6 with Rhett Johnson, Bo Wyatt, Cole Carter, and Evan Leish. We move back to Forrest Adams, Chase Call, Colton Gross, and Parker Marsh at 221. And behind them, the 205 of Caden Daly, Luca DeMaria, Slade Harrell, Dutch Westbrook, Diesel Maxwell. Didn't see them in qualifying. Not sure if we'll see him here, and that puts Diesel Maxwell at the back of the field because of a DQ for
we got a
Diesel.
spin.
That's a 221. I think that might be Tori Dangerous Daniels there, who went around just on the exit of the last corner. So that's the 221 it looked like. That's Parker Marsh. My apologies there. Parker Marsh went around.
Was 12th, went out to start of the rear. That's unfortunate. But we go up to turn number 2 for the start of the race. Green flag is in the air. Going into turn number 1.
That's a great start for the MPG Academy boys. What a start for Feidinger, for Dominic Gaddis, and Austin Taylor to get himself up to 3rd. Couple of moves on the inside of turn number 2. They're going to get clearly like Stiles wanted to have a go there. Arlo Barr, I think the other driver fighting for the 4th spot. Henrik McKay, the 271, unfortunately, just got swallowed up by the pack of MPG Academy drivers that got to the lead and didn't look back. And how about the championship as well coming this weekend? Feidinger leads it.
Yeah, Feidinger leads it over Austin Taylor. 2 MPG Academy boys who are running up towards the front in this heat race. You know, that's something else to think about, not only just the heat race win and progressing your weekend, but also your entire year of this 4-race series.
Here we go, the 271 now with a good run up to the straightaway here. Not good enough to try and take it away from Austin Taylor, as Gaddis, Feidinger going to fight it out. McKay looking on the inside of 3. He gets clear with help from Clayton Stiles. They get through on Austin Taylor. And side-by-side action further back. Taylor wasting no time looking to go back for 3rd.
Gaddis and Feidinger got a little bit of a gap here. If you're sitting in 3rd, you know, McKay just made that move, but now you're going to want to, you know, file in and try and catch the MPG Academy boys sitting 1st and 2nd.
Yeah, Austin Taylor fought for the 4th spot. He got right back up there. As we saw McKay go up to 3rd. And Stiles wanted to follow through. Just, again, Taylor wanted to go back up to 4th. And try to put a stop to the bleeding there as well, right, for Austin Taylor. Further back, Arlo Barr finds himself in 6th to Reynolds, Cole Carter, Camila Canache, and Rhett Johnson. Currently your driver sitting inside of the top 10. Feidinger and Gaddis, we've seen these 2 drivers race over at Cup Karts North America throughout the years. A good showing for both of them over at the Grand Nationals last year. I'm sure we'll see them most likely over at the Summer Nationals when we go to Batavia, Ohio at the Motor Country Club of Cincinnati.
Austin Taylor
July
looking
4th
for
weekend.
a move. Makes it stick. Push Stiles a little wide there, but otherwise clean. But gets up there into the 5th spot, trying to make a little bit of ground back from what he lost.
That's a good move there by Austin Taylor, and you see him kind of start to point a little bit to Clayton Stiles, right, to try and push each other forward a little bit. Get closer to the 271 of McKay, who's kind of in no man's land, right? Doesn't have the push, doesn't have the draft. So he's kind of just sitting stagnant in the 3rd spot, and the only thing that would really, you know, fall back into play for him is if Gaddis and Taylor really started to go back and forth and fight for the lead of this race. So, you know, starting lap number 4, it's been, you know, going to need a little more, because it does look like Austin Taylor and Stiles now starting to work together a little bit better. They're going to close in on McKay, I think, once we get closer to lap number 10, Kyle.
Yeah, they'll close in. We'll see if 3 karts maybe can work better than the 2 up front and maybe close the gap. Still a long way to go here. Still 11 laps to go. About to be working lap number 4 here. 4 laps completed, working lap number 5, excuse me. Still Feitinger with the lead over Gaddis. The MPG Academy boys are working well together. You know, team manager Chase Jones, he's competed in some Cup Karts North America races. He knows what he's doing in a 2-6 category. I'm sure sure this was a part of the plan. I'm sure this was you know, to work together probably until the end when you guys want to fight. But you know, the more you work together here, you can. I thought maybe there's a little bump there, but if you work together now, fight later, you know, there's a better chance for an MPG Academy go-kart to take the win.
And this is great, right? I mean, looking back at the championship points, you know, we kind of look at what the weekend looked like at the opening round for, you know, Danny O'Gara, who actually came away with the win from last to first, but his results throughout the heat races, you know, didn't go his way with the DQ, and I believe, you know, just a couple of other incidents that kind of went his way. And that shows you how important, you know, qualifying and heat racing action is, with Feitinger, you know, finishing second in Heat 1, Heat 2 in the main event, only 180 points to his name, finished outside of the podium, but that puts him leading the championship coming into this weekend with how consistent he was at the opening weekend. You look at the driver in Austin Taylor as well, who's in 4th, finished 3rd in qualifying, 3rd in Heat 1, outside of the podium places in Heat 2, but in the main event goes up to 2nd. That puts him 2nd in the championship, right, coming into the weekend. Tied on points with his teammate in Feitinger, and now he's 3rd, right? Even, you know, not being up there at the front, but being in 4th right now for Austin Taylor, this is a good point haul. As long as you're finishing races, as long as you're finishing up the order, that sets you up for the long run. I said earlier, right? Marathon, not a sprint. We are sprint racing here this weekend, but, you know, this championship, heat races, you know, we talked about it with Fandry earlier. These heat races are really make or break in a championship. You could have championship drives in a heat race, and as long as you're consistent enough in the main events where, you know, you get the majority of the points haul at the end of it, that's where you get the 200 points. I mean, that's kind of where you get a big chunk, but as well throughout the heat races, picking up those 90, 100 points, you know, those little points really add up at the end of the year.
Yeah, over the course of the season, you know, the heat races, you know, even the 20 points for qualifying on pole, I mean, that'll add up over the course of 4 rounds. And, you know, to your point, Austin Taylor, 4th, fell back a little bit earlier to 5th or 6th, and you know, to be able to crawl back, and maybe if he can even, you know, close up and challenge for 3rd here towards the end. You know, it's just about securing as many points as you can, because Will Feitinger sitting P1, I mean, that's not what Austin wants to see when it comes to the points championship.
Let's take a look at the gaps here in between your leaders of Feitinger, Gaddis, as well as a pretty big battle there further back in the field of Cole Carter, Jackson Reynolds, Camila Canache, Arlo Barr, and Rhett Johnson. There's McKay, who again looked like he was making a little bit of headway early on this one, but still a 2nd back from your leader in Feitinger, pushing, looking to get up there for more. You go back to Taylor, to Clayton Stiles, your top 5. Then behind them, we saw that big group of Cole Carter, Jackson Reynolds, Camila Canache, and Arlo Barr. We'll see if we can take a look back with them as well as this race progresses. Looks like that's about one of the closer battles that we have out there on the racetrack, Kyle.
Yeah, about 6.5 laps left. Hendrick McKay has really sitting stagnant. As I see some movement here, I believe Dominic Gaddis was trying to get around the 210 of Will Feitinger. You know, maybe getting a little bit impatient here, running 2nd. Now, the more you do that, you're going to let Hendrick McKay back into the fold, and then, you know, Camila Canache. I believe, actually, I've seen our timing's messed up.
Not only that, corner left-hand side of your screen there, she finds herself up in a 7th. And you've seen her race a lot of national stuff as well. She had, you know, I look back to 2023 at Rock Cup USA, where she had a really impressive run over in Las Vegas over at the Rio. And again, since then, she's been looking for that breakout weekend once again. Still putting herself within good positions throughout the year. Still just looking for a little more on the 206 side of things here this weekend in the Sportsman category. Fightinger and Taylor, about a car length in between the two MPG Academy boys. But they've been really good.
Been pretty patient, you know, for how young this class is, you know, to expect them to be patient the whole race and not do anything stupid to bring in the rest of the field is you know, pretty impressive, you know, honestly.
Not only that, but right, you're gonna have signals coming from the fence lines, kind of telling you to push, telling you when to pass, telling you, you know, when the right time is gonna be to try and go for a move. And you know, they're going fast enough where I think they're starting to close in on Diesel Maxwell. They're that Mohawk-powered AMAX machine. And this is, again, one of the biggest things, right? Lap traffic will be something to look out for here throughout the weekend, whether it's the main event, whether it's heat races. Learning how to navigate your way through that, kind of using lap traffic as a pick as well throughout the weekend is going to be huge, kind of what you see more in endurance racing side of things. But that also comes into play, I think, you know, in weekends like this where you don't really usually see that on the national weekends, where, you know, they usually get them out of the way for you.
Yeah, they get them out of the way in the national weekends. But I'm you know, I prefer the lap traffic. I think it's just another thing to deal with that I think in a normal racing setting, in car racing, you know, as you move up, they're not going to just get these guys out of the way.
Same thing in IndyCar, right? We look at it this weekend over at Le Mans, right, that they're racing over there in the 24 Hours of Le Mans, one of the biggest races of the world, part of the Triple Crown, and they don't move the lap traffic out of the way for you, right? At the Indy 500, you look at how it ended this year with Alex Below, you know, taking the win there. There was lap cars in front of him, and, you know, you got to use that to your advantage and to your competitor's disadvantage at the same time to try and benefit out of it. So that's the same thing for either drivers, you know, here this weekend aspiring to be an IndyCar, you know, an IMSA racing and WEC, whatever you want to call it, you know, NASCAR as well. If you want to go out there and race in, you know, professional racing, you're going to have to deal with stuff like that.
If you look back to the second group, there's Austin Taylor having to deal with the lap traffic. You wouldn't see it. It's split Taylor and Klein a little bit. I don't think that really hurt him as bad as it maybe looked down the front straight, because as Klein closes right back up to Taylor's rear bumper.
Still single file for Austin Taylor. You see a battle there further back as well throughout the packs. Rhett Johnson, Arlo Barr, Jackson Reynolds. They've been trading that 8th spot up to 7th as well. Camila Canache just improved her lap. Here a lap ago on lap number 12. And you see that this fight here further back. There's Arlo Barr, the 223 of Rhett Johnson, and the 214 of Cole Carter. There's a Coyote to an OTK to a Merlin. How about on the inside of turn number 11? What an over-under by Arlo Barr to go up to 7th. We're going to go side by side up to turn number 2.
Well, looks like almost 3 wide.
Pick a lane here, fellas.
There's Rhett Johnson almost in the dirt.
Yeah, the Coyote, what a move there on the inside, right? Got a really good run. It's about picking your lane there. Picked the inside lane, got clear. And that's when you saw Arlo Barr decide, all right, he got clear of us, moving back over and, you know, putting himself in a good position where he's not impeding Rhett Johnson either. But they're working their way through. They're about to catch up to Diesel Maxwell, the driver right behind them. Looks to be Evan Leish. As there goes Cole Carter. He goes through. Maxwell's in between the pack. As now Arlo Barr looks to go through. He's clear. As well as Johnson. And the driver who just couldn't was Leish, the 207. Just stuck behind Maxwell. He gets through now. Along with him, Jerome Wickham.
See the white flag is in the air. Final lap. Fightinger and Gaddis still 1-2. Gaddis, though, set a couple of the fastest laps of the race. Went purple a few times. Hasn't really had anything until, you know, maybe now in the last lap. Still on the rear bumper. He's looking,
Here we
making
go.
the move.
Dominic Gaddis looking on the inside of Feidinger into the last couple corners.
He's going to fight back. Gaddis with the over-under. Will he do it again? He goes under. He gets him. Dominic Gaddis gets the heat win in heat number 1 in 206 Sportsman.
What a little display there for Feidinger, for Dominic Gaddis. And Henrik McKay to come across the line and finish third. Austin Taylor to Clayton Stiles. Your top 5. Camila Canache steals one up to 6. To Cole Cardo, to Arlo Barr. Red Johnson and Leish. Your top 10. Back to Wickham, to Wyatt, to Torrey, Dangerous Daniels. To Chase Call in 14th. Sort of gross. Looks like we have some movers there, and there you have a couple of penalties, it looks like.
Yeah, on the surface,
we'll take a look at it.
On the surface, it doesn't look like much really, like there wasn't as much battling throughout that race, but like we said, they were just Dominic Gaddis just kind of waiting until the end, and I think we got exactly what we were expecting. Wait until the last lap to make your move, and a couple over-unders made for a pretty exciting final 2 corners.
Yeah, definitely delivered there towards the end. More racing action set to come your way from the Briggs and Stratton Motorplex. That was 206 Sportsman. Coming up next, KA100 Sr. Time to go racing in KA100. Senior drivers from all around the nation coming here to race with us here this weekend. Mick Gabriel, Alexander Kardashian on row number 1. Caleb Gaffera and Hayden Jones on row number 2.
Austin Olds, row number 3 with Quentin McPherson starting alongside Brandon Lemke and Braden Zervies on the next row.
Tristan Farber and Clayton Slifer on row number 5. Your top 10 starters, your top 5 rows. Move back to a couple of more here as well. Eli Warren, Cale Zimmerman on row number 6. Charles Ropke, Wyatt Leslie. Back to Mason Sturgeon, Chaz Varile, Lane Gibbs, and Adam Maxwell. Cash Perkins, rookie driver, impressive out in Newcastle Motorsports Park last weekend. He started alongside Caleb Rothel, Jamie Saraki, Shane Reddy, Nathan Trapp, Steve Welk. Back to Reed Sunderland, Vladimir Verveka, Blake Sarcia, Oliver Gaffer, and more. 37 drivers total getting set to take the green flag for heat race number 1 in KA100 Senior. Last time we were at the state of Wisconsin, on our cameras, Mick Gabriel was able to beat the entire senior field. As issues for Tristan Farber. Not going to make the start here for Tristan Farber, and we're not going to get the start, period. We'll wait to see if Farber was able to get restarted, but
crazy
again,
stuff.
Yeah, just slowing down there as we're getting ready to take the start, and that engine probably just shut off.
I don't see him pulled off. Try to get a read on where Farber ended up.
He definitely got back going there, Kyle. But again, just a scary incident again with the revs getting so low as you're getting into the tram lines, getting ready to start the race. That engine just shut off, and Tristan Farber on the 911 Cosmic able to get back going. Round number 1 was all about the 901. And Brandon Lemke ran away with the main event, ran away with the weekend really as a whole at the opening round. But this weekend, I mean, what was sweep of the weekend for Lemke? You know, finds himself starting on row number 4 with a lot of work to do to chase the likes of Kardashian, Gabriel, Jones, Gaffera, McPherson, Olds, that are all starting in front of him. But again, a lot of rookie drivers here this weekend, and a lot of familiar faces that I guess we can call new faces here this weekend. Try number 2. Tristan Farber is going to be on the gas a little more. We're going to be on the power as we take into the tram lines this time. Green flag in the air, and we go racing in Heat 1 in KA Senior. That's a good start by Mick Gabriel to get clear. Gaffera goes up to second. Kardashian slots in a line third. Side by side, Lemke going to get stuck on the outside with Austin Olds looking to go for a move. Couldn't get clear as
Lemke
we go
gets
single
around.
foul.
Lemke gets around Olds. He thought about it. See everyone file in, getting through the start cleanly. We had a few guys at the start, had a few issues at the back, but otherwise we're clean and green and ready to complete lap number 1.
Here we go, first time around. Gaffera starting to close in his gap to Mick Gabriel. Again, we saw him get a really good start there on the inside. How about Eli Warren looking to go on McPherson? The 79 stuck on the outside. One of the Hote CD drivers looking to go as well. Charlie Ropke looks to go. Mason Surgener looking on the inside of both of them, looking to get the move as McPherson over the curb. Had to avoid it. More movers on the inside. Surgener looking for one.
Yeah, McPherson
Zimmerman
has just had a nightmare start to this heat race. You see Tristan Farber gets around Austin Olds for the 6th spot. But McPherson dropped back like a rock. I think Mason Surgener there passing 3 karts in 1 corner. I mean, that was impressive stuff. But as we get a read, there's McPherson still dropping back. I wonder if there's an issue or something going on, but he does not look happy.
Yeah, Slifer now right behind him. We see Wyatt Leslie in the mix there. Braden Zerves, the 909. All the way back to Shane Reddy and more. They're just stuck in this midfield battle here. Just trying to make spots as we tune back in with your leaders. A change at the front. Caleb G., Alexander Kardashian, Hayden Jones, all working their way by Mick Gabriel. Caleb Gaffera leads it.
Hayden.
Jones.
Hayden Jones to the inside. Going down the hill, a hard braking zone, out of the racing line, out of the rubber. That's tricky to do, but he did it. He's around Alexander Kardashian.
That's a good move there by Hayden Jones to get himself up to second. And, you know, from here on out, being in that first spot, it's going to be all about control, right? As the session goes on, it's, you know, we talked about it already. These sessions are long, and getting yourself in a good position towards the end of it to pick up those points is all that much more important. And we're seeing it here with Kardashian. You know, how ineffective. I think he has an issue on the carburation, getting work on the needles, and that took Lemke by, that took Farber by. And Austin Olds now starting to close up here, Kyle.
Yeah, Austin Olds.
Oh, hand up in the air for Kardashian.
Oh, yeah, it's over.
And
trouble.
It's all kind of pointing to what could be. It looked like he was getting to work on the carburation. for Kardashian, but you talk about how important heat races are as far as points go, as far as championship goes. And that's really not going to fall into the hands of Kardashian thinking long run, right? Thinking, the weekend as well, and where your points average finish is going to put you in the main event, where you're going to start. A DNF is definitely not what Kardashian needed here to start off the weekend in Heat 1. How about battles further back for the 908 of Zimmerman going side by side there with Mason Surgener. These two have been going back and forth all race long. The same for Eli Warren and Austin Olds.
Austin Olds not having a great start. He's going to try it on Eli Warren. Eli Warren saw him coming, let him by, but Austin's probably just trying to save his heat race here and try and get the best spot, because he does not look like he's having a great time with that go-kart.
And you're seeing the moves as well in there in turn number 2. You kind of saw this entire pack get really close together, kind of almost a bottleneck whenever you do make that move, and everybody else behind has to check up a little bit, and that brings everybody else right back into the mix. You saw how close McPherson, he just got a lot closer to Mason Surgener. That's going to give him have a look on the inside of Surgener. Couldn't get through, but again, this field just closes up so much more when there's a pass made further up ahead, and that kind of triggers this entire effect where everybody just kind of closes right back up to each other.
Yeah, a few laps ago when Surgener made his move, I don't think McPherson appreciated it very much. So maybe there's
one more driver off the racetrack
through the hairpin.
That's McPherson.
That's McPherson. Ooh, and another off at the exit of 3. That was the 944. I believe that's Gibbs, if I'm not mistaken.
What a race thus far. Quick update on your leaders. Hayden Jones now up front to Caleb G, to Mick Gaber, to Tristan Farber up to 4th. Lemke, Olds to Zimmerman. And we're back here with McPherson. This battle is just on the edge of the top 10. Just for 10th there. As further up, Mason Surgener holds on a 9 to Charles Roque. He's looking to get another top 10 in Route 66 action. Look at Leslie on the inside there of Cash Perkins, making the move on the rookie into turn 3.
You see the front of this pack, Austin Olds just trying to stop the bleeding here. He doesn't look very happy, but he's trying to just hold on to 6th position. So he's got Cale Zimmerman hot on his heels.
And you see it there for Austin Olds, Cale Zimmerman. I mean, you talk about the opening weekend that Cale Zimmerman had, on where he's, we've seen him very active in 206 racing action for the VLR driver this year, kind of putting his eggs into the KA100 Sr basket here at Route 66. He fought for a championship last year in 206. This year put him full focus to the 100cc package. And again, wasn't the best, I guess, quote-unquote debut weekend for Zimmerman over at K1 Circuit Whiteland. And this weekend, I mean, I think much better for him, right? You see a turnaround where he was fighting outside of the top 10 to now this weekend fighting inside of the top 10. And I think just it's a fact of getting a better start, right? Picking the right moves earlier on in the race, where I think we can see this driver get himself closer to the top 5. The same for Austin Olds and Charles Roque as well. Impressive for this driver. Just now moving over to Holt's driver development this year, the 912. Ahead of Eli Warren, who's been super competitive in Route 66 action. We see him fight for a championship as well. Last year, as we tune back in with your leaders, Farber, Lemke. They traded the 4th spot. Lemke, the 901, gets himself back up to 4th.
How about Tristan Farber right on the heels of Brandon Lemke? Now, Brandon Lemke might want to take it a little bit easy here, as he probably has seen Kardashian off the track, out of the race, as Lemke leads him by 60 points in the championship. Lemke could probably afford this spot to Farber, but how about Farber, man? Top 5 in Heat 1. You were already talking about in qualifying how he didn't have the greatest run last year when we saw him, and this is got to be pretty redeeming for Tristan.
Yeah, and it's a very small operation, right? To my knowledge, looking back at Dousman, it was him and his dad just pitted out of their trailer. And I assume it's a lot of the same here this weekend, right, for Tristan and his dad kind of racing, about the same kart for the last couple of years, only bringing it out every now and then to to race. But, you know, to pick and choose when you're going to come out to the racetrack, to pick and choose when you're going to, you know, spend that money to be there. You want to be competitive, and I think he's done just that, kind of meeting expectations, if not exceeding them, here this weekend at the Briggs and Stratton Motorplex. And the same for a lot of these drivers up at the front, right? You talk about Hayden Jones with his internship here this summer. To Caleb Gaffera, who has a very, very busy schedule for him. We saw him last weekend, the weekend before that, on what he's done coaching side of things as well for the Coach Driver Development and for his career as well in open wheel over with Paps Racing. And Mick Gabriel on his return to the seat here this weekend. I mean, a lot of drivers, right, with different stories whenever they rock up to the racetrack, but all come in here with the same goal in mind, Kyle. That's to come away with a trophy at the end of the weekend and make those long weeks worth it, to, you know, make the drive, to make the travel, the, you know, the summer of being at a racetrack every day. We kind of joke around and say, you know, another day in paradise, but we were just talking about this earlier, right? A bad day at the racetrack is better than a good day at any other office or doing anything else that there is to do out there. And I'm sure, you know, all these guys up at the front all these guys throughout the field are happy to be here. And I know we are for sure, to be back at a racetrack, to be here. You know, all of us are blessed to be in the position that we are in. But that being said, Hayden Jones, we don't see him much in 100cc action outside of the Miami Grand Nationals. We saw him a little bit last year. But he's very, very competitive whenever he does take to the 100cc category.
Hayden not able to race much anymore, but when he does, he's usually at the front, which is impressive because, you know, when you talk about not being in the seat as much, you know, you tend to lose a little bit of pace, but to be able to go out of the seat for 6 months or so, 4 months, and then get back in and be right where you were when you stepped out, that's impressive. I mean, not everybody can do that. And it's always pretty neat to see Hayden be able to just hop out and hop back in over a span of a couple months and still be right at the top where he was.
Yeah, and he's starting to improve his lap times a bit. Just kind of starting to open up his gap to Caleb Gaffera. We've seen Gaffera close down going up to turn number 2. But the last time around for Caleb G, a 49 flat. For Hayden Jones, a 48.9. Just about a tenth of a difference. I think the push from Mick Gabriel, again, given if he doesn't decide to pass Caleb G, this could bring them a lot closer. 2 laps to go this time by. And Mick Gabriel going to go into turn number 2, looking on the inside. Mick Gabriel up to second.
Mick tells him, work together. I mean, how do you take that when a driver passes you and tells you to work together? You know, especially with 2 laps to go in the race. What are you thinking when you see that, Caleb?
I mean, from here on out, if you're getting passed on the racetrack, it usually means that the driver passing you is faster, right? It's usually kind of the signals that you take from it. But even then, it's kind of just, you know what, we're getting closer to the end. And if I'm Caleb Gaffera and if I'm in his shoes, seeing Mick Gabriel start to close in the way he has on Hayden Jones coming to the last lap, I'm kind of respecting it. You know, I'm like, okay, get yourself up there and bring me along with you, right, to try and close down that gap. So it's just, you know, a matter of, especially at a racetrack like this where we talk about momentum, how much one move can bring this field a lot closer together. You don't want to fight all that too much because if you're making a pass for second, the leader's just pulling away with the time you're kind of wasting, quote unquote, for racing side by side with one another.
It looks like Mick kind of pulled away from Caleb, so I mean, you're right. Just sometimes when you know, there are times where you tell him, work with me, but really you just don't want him to try and pass you back. But it looks like Mick formed a little bit of a gap there to Caleb G. As you see Hayden Jones, I don't think Mick's going to have enough time. Just a couple laps too late. Hayden Jones out of the final corner wins heat number 1.
There you go for Hayden Jones. Mick Gabriel to Caleb G. Brandon Lemke and Tristan Farber, your top 5. Austin Olds, best of the rest, out in 6th. Charlie Roepke in 7th. Braden Zerves to Zimmerman to Mason Surgener, your top 10. As the rest of the field continues to cross the line back, further back. Couple of notables with issues. Quentin McPherson, we saw him pull off to the wayside. Alexander Kardashian, one of the biggest stories here with a DNF in heat race number 1. Not going to help his points total heading into tomorrow and into the main event. That's it for heat race number 1. Hayden Jones wins it to start off the weekend in KA100 Senior Racing action. Some pickup getting set to come our way. We'll be right back with more racing action. You're watching Kart Chasers live coverage of Route 66.
Hey, what's up, Caleb?
What's up, Brandon?
You sound defeated. A long day at the office?
Yeah, got stuck at a cat food marketing meeting for like 3 hours. I don't know a thing about cat food, and I don't even work in marketing. And then I got sent on a coffee run like I was some sort of intern. Then at the end of the day, when I want to go get gas, I just realized everything is so darn expensive nowadays, man.
Yeah, you got that right.
Like, do you have any idea how much we're spending on Netflix?
That's like 20 bucks a month.
Do you know how much we're spending on cable?
That's like 50 bucks a month.
And you know what isn't expensive?
Tell me.
Kart Chaser Premium. For only $9.99 a month, you can watch all the American karting action live from coast to coast. Subscribe and become a member today.
Paulie Massimino wins in KA. Paulie Massimino is a winner in OKN Stars.
Take your driving to the next level with one-on-one coaching from 2024 OKN Stars champion, Paulie Massimino. Kart rental options are available if you'd like to keep yours at home, and drivers in all classes are welcome, from Briggs 206 to Mini to KA100 and X30. With in-depth data analysis, onboard video footage review, and lead follow on-track sessions, each private coaching session will see you end as a more complete driver than when you started. Book your coaching session now.
This is Henry. Henry feels sad. Henry feels sad because it's time for his next big race and his go-kart is in bits. Henry doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing is the United States' #1 shop for all of your karting equipment needs. Henry also doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing can deliver anything from tires to race suits and even wheels directly to your front door or to the racetrack itself, quickly and efficiently, with tech support available 6 days a week. Poor Henry doesn't even know that Acceleration Kart Racing offers free shipping to mainland USA on selected product if you spend $200 or more. Do yourself a favor. Go to accelerationkarting.com and make sure that you are never left stuck on the pre-grid with Henry. Be smart and don't be like Henry.
Time to go racing here in 206 Junior. As we get set, take the green flag. Let's run you down your starting lineup. The Lawson-powered Steel Motorsports machine, the 305 of Gavin Dyer, starts on row number 1 alongside Braden Domont. Jack Fiber and Brady Shad on row number 2.
Ethan Leroy, Isaac Rothel on row number 3. Porter Trudel, Evan Benoit, row number 5.
Row number 4 there. I have to check your math there later, Kyle. Colin Eddy, Pearson Golseth on row number 5 for the 399 and 312. You go further back to your last couple of rows here. Jenna Lunsky, Theodore Gaffer, Jude Lunsky, Tyler Catter, Alyssa Eddy, Patton, Bazinski, Wilson, Mosley, Ciaglia, and more. Getting set to take the green flag in 206 Junior. We've seen the starts be very critical here, right? To think about the long run, to think about putting yourself in a good position. These starts are that much more important in 206 Junior. That's a good start for the outside. What a move. Dyer not going to be able to hold on that outside line with a great start to take the lead of the race for Braden Domont.
Clean through turns number 1 and 2 and 3. Going down the hill now into 4. Still trying to get single file. A little bit of contact there for third. As the top 2 of Dyer and Domont look to pull away now.
Yeah, Brady Shad, the driver for Millwright Raceway, getting himself up to second. You see this battle further back. Single file pretty much all the way through. Eddie looking on the inside now, the 95. Looking to go by one of the Franklin Motorsports machines. Couldn't get through, but so far so good. A good start, I would say. A lot closer than I think we've seen throughout more of the heat races here, Kyle, where, you know, we see kind of our top 5 almost in the same zip code, and as well, even inside of the top 10, everybody in frame.
Yeah, I think the goal here for Jack Fiber and Isaac Rothel is just to stay within, and that'll help as Brady Shad goes to the lead over Braden Domont.
Yeah, that's a good move there for Brady Shad to get clear in turn 3. That's been one of the, I would say, favorite passing zones that we've seen so far throughout the heat races. Shad now going to have control of this one. We've seen him be pretty active so far on the national scene, racing with the Rawlson Performance Group in KA100 Junior action. We saw him with PPK and Coyote last year over at Cup Karts North America throughout the year, and again doubling up this year here at Route 66. This is a good start for Shad. We look back, Domont, Fiber, Dyer, Rothel, your top 5, heading up to turn number 2.
See if Domont has anything on Shad here. See, turn 3 is just such a good passing zone because, you know, the chicane, like I said earlier, it's hard to pass there without any contact, where it kind of opens up into 3, and you get such a good run going into turn number 2 up the hill down that long straightaway.
So Leroy Benoit fighting there further back. A couple of the Ricardo karts going back and forth. As we look back, 605, or sorry, the 305 of Gavin Dyer now looking to go back for a move on the 81 of Fiber. Couldn't get clear this time into turn 11. Third time of asking. Sends it in deep, maybe a little bit too deep for Gavin Dyer side by side with Fiber, who might have the better lane, might have the better run coming up to turn number 2.
3 wide out of the final corner, and a little bit of hand signals there saying, come on, we're losing the leaders now. What are we doing?
And they lost them. They lost them. You saw 1 and 2 start to pull away, and again, more fighting for 4th on back, right? You're going to see the likes of Shad, Domont. They're going to start to pull away here as this race continues to progress, and then you have, you know, more moves. So you're going to start to see the separation, right? We talked about turn 2 and 3, how critical it is in those positions or in those corners, where those gaps open up there if you are going for moves there, Kyle.
Whoa! Side by side with Gavin Dyer. Didn't go well. The 329 now off the track, went for a little bit of a ride there. Obviously was not happy with the move there.
Porter Trudell just got stuck on the outside, dropped the tire into the grass, and went for a ride. For sure, this time onto the main straight. 305 at Dyer starting to close in, and Shad Domont, we saw how, flawless Shad drove all weekend long over at the opening round of Route 66. And again, a good start for him as well. Dyer still looking back for more moves side by side. Gonna get dicey here on the exit. And you see how drivers drop that tire into the dirt there, Kyle? It's tough
there's
nonetheless.
another one. You're gonna turn number 4, a little bit squirrely, just all over the place. The 305, Gavin Dyer is still motioning, just let's go, let's move forward. And side by side, wheel to wheel contact again. It's getting dicey.
I mean, with how fast these corners are, right? Take in mind that if you do find yourself stuck on that outside line, it's going to be difficult, right, to kind of make it out of there, not being on the grippy stuff. And even then, we're going to see more moves. Ooh. There goes the 312 of Golseth. That looked to go for one, couldn't get by, and that's going to move Benoit, Lunsky, Gaffer, and Eddie there. It looked like he was going to try to go for a move. His younger sister, Alyssa Eddy, just right behind him. Work our way through. You see the Eddy siblings working together there for 12th and 13th. Looking to go up to 11th on the 303 of Theo Gaffer. Looking to get themselves closer to the top 10 with Lunsky, Jude, that is, a 397 on the Ricardo Kart just up ahead.
You see this group here all working together. Looks like Jack Fiber is still in 3rd, kind of on his own. Let's get a Gavin Dyer update. Sitting in P6 still. Looks like they've spread out for 3rd, 4th. A little group there in 5th. You see Brady Shad and Braden Domont still working together. I feel like we're going to get something reminiscent of the 206 Sportsman's.
Yeah, not much, and even then, Kyle, right? We've seen the breakaways kind of happen, and we really saw it kind of start, right? Whenever we were lap 4, lap 3, where we saw the fighting for 3rd on back start to ensue, and that's really what allowed Shad and Domont to pull away. And like in the case of Gaddis and Feidinger in their sportsman class as well, right? As long as you stay in line, as long as you're kind of single file pushing each other along, that's pretty big, right? Whenever you aren't making the moves, whenever you aren't kind of going back and forth, that's going to allow you to pull away from the rest of the field like we have seen. And that leaves a driver in 3rd like Jack Fiber in no man's land, where you don't have that draft from the drivers ahead, and you don't have a push from behind. And Ethan Leroy, who again is struggling to get back up to you. And it's just kind of something to take into account, right? There's little notes that you take after each heat race. There's little notes that you take lap by lap that you kind of take in a heat race number 2 on, all right, what did I do in heat race number 1? What worked? What didn't work? And what can I do differently in heat race number 2 to try to improve, to try and get myself further up the field and put myself within a better standing as well when we get into main event action tomorrow afternoon. Saw a couple of drivers there off the racetrack. But even then, a couple of notables here. 23 drivers total with us here this weekend. Colin Eddy, Alyssa Eddy working their way through. And
see Brady Shad there go 4 wheels in the dirt.
You saw how much kind of curb he cut off. You saw that dirt get kicked up.
Yeah,
and that got him a little bit out of shape there compared to Domont.
It did. It looked like he was riding the bull. He looked like more like a PBR rider than a go-kart driver there, going over those curbs.
I mean, I don't know how often the PBR comes out to Wisconsin.
I don't reckon it's very often.
Bulls and cheese, and there's a little bit of relation there, right? I think. That being said, Brady Shad, it's definitely, I would say, wouldn't feel all too good on the ribs going over that chicane there. Took it like a champ though. And again, Domont.
See him looking back. I don't know maybe if it was a push, but there's almost no reason to push it that hard, right? With this big of a gap. I mean,
you saw Domont as well there on the straightaway kind of shake his hands a little bit, and that could be just a little bit of uncomfort on the steering wheel. I mean, these you could feel the vibrations a lot more, especially in these 206 karts with the 4 cycles, Briggs and Stratton motors kind of just vibrating on the steering wheel, and you feel that for 15 laps. You start to feel that a little bit, starts to sting the hands a little bit. So I think that's kind of what you saw out of Domont, kind of shaking the hands off a little bit. And then you have the group further back, right, with Fiber, Leroy, Rotha, where they're brought right back together, and that's just due to the kind of stagnancy, right, for the drivers in third on back, where you're given time to tune back in, to hit your marks and to refocus, and that brings you right back into play. Where we're seeing now that 3-2 karts are going to be stronger than one, especially on a place like this with such long straightaways, and you're seeing it now, right? 2 karts, Dyer, Rotho looking to go on Leroy into turn number 2.
Yeah, and you see them back there going 3 wide into turn number 3. I believe Gavin Dyer was in the back of that group. There were 2 karts going to the inside, going into turn number 2. You see the end of it. Dyer ends up gaining 2 spots here in turn 4, going down into the bowl.
We've talked about the history of this place coming into the weekend, Kyle, of the excitement, the buzz around this place, what's kind of brought so many people out here this weekend. And it's been huge to see, the growth, the reception as well to what I think has been one of the most exciting schedules on the year. Somebody actually just got the rolled up black flag. So that's a warning out to somebody out there on the racetrack. And we did see a couple of moves by Dyer and Leroy. Looking to go by Isaac Rotho in the 322. And I'm assuming it could have gone on one of these 3 drivers that is on our screens now, but even then they're still single file. But I mean, 3 stacked weekends here in the state of Wisconsin. I believe you're going to be here for all 3 of them. IndyCar,
yep,
USPKS this weekend. And we talked about a little bit before on the excitement of it, and how about the excitement of making a pass, right, with motorcycles driving right next to you at 100+ miles an hour. For Isaac Rotha looking to go back by on Ethan Leroy.
Here with 3 laps to go. It's you can hear the motorcycles in the background, like you said. There's Brady Shad and Braden Domont, 1-2, still pushing each other, waiting for the end. See if they can do anything towards the end. What an up and down heat here for Gavin Dyer. I mean, we saw him in battles probably drop back to as low as 8th, and here he is in 4th, which is a really decent position in the grand scheme of things. Here he's chasing down Jack Dyer,
chasing down Fieber right now.
Jack Fieber, excuse me. Chasing down Fieber for 3rd here. I mean, honestly, Fieber has been kind of all on his lonesome for the entirety of this heat. Yeah, he would almost welcome someone to challenge him, maybe for a little bit of something to do, right? As long as he keeps 3rd.
Yeah, and I think Fieber is going to want a much better start as well before we head into heat race number 2. But the battle for the lead starting to heat up. Shad went defensive in a 2. Had to put him out of shape, and Domont looking on the outside of turn 3 as we continue to fight for the lead. And you see them, I mean, you're going to start to see the drivers from third on back come a little bit more in a frame. So I think Domont realized that. They probably lost a good chunk of time compared to third on back. So I think he pointed forward. Shad as well agreed to hold off, I think, for half a lap until we hit the white flag next time by.
Yeah, maybe he tried it a little bit early, but, you had to try, I think, and I think he's going to have 2 more chances, honestly. Once we get to the front straight, we'll see how he closes up. Already closing up a little bit in the final corner. Domont on Brady Shad. Let's see, going into turn 2. Already trying to the inside, almost clipped the cones, clipped the grass. Shad goes defensive. Domont, he swings wide. He's going to have a better run through the chicane.
Domont just trying to surprise him there going up to turn 1. And again, Shad just saw it at the last second, covered off. He's looking back at Domont. Shad holding on for now. Domont, I mean, we've talked about, having the element of surprise, getting creative. You kind of got a pass where not many people have attempted. Turn 11 is going to be another one of the big passing zones for Domont into the 2nd spot as we go side by side. A little bit of contact in between our drivers in 1st and 2nd. Got one more real opportunity for Domont here, and we've seen over-unders in this last corner. It's going to be single file. Domont getting a nose down low. Not good enough, though. Shad holds on in 206 Junior. The 309 of Domont in second. To Dyer, to Leroy, to Jack Feber. Here, top 5.
Shad played that perfectly at the end there.
That was close. I think may have been a little too close for comfort there in between Shad and Domont coming to the checkered flag. But that being said, we had a couple of drivers find themselves off the racetrack. We'll take this time to step aside. More racing action with Micro Swift coming your way next.
Brandon, why are there all these charges for just over $200?
I'm tired of all this Brandon business, okay? Brandon this, Brandon that. Why are there all these expenses on AKR over $200? We know, okay? Take a walk with me. At Shop AKR, they have everything you need to start racing at a very cheap and affordable price. They have MXC rims, they got chains, electrical stands, tilt seats, they got MXCs. And if you didn't know, on top of that, any purchase in the continental US over $200, that's free shipping.
Hey, aren't you supposed to be in the AKR Anonymous meeting over there?
Dude, I'm doing a commercial.
Dude, we have no time. It's about to start.
Stop. We all love Shop AKR. Me? More than others. What do I get at Shop AKR?
MXC rims.
Kyle, what are you doing?
It's got my new Greyhound seat.
You don't even have a cart.
Doesn't matter. I have a Greyhound.
Who the f is Kyle Cuthbertson? Doesn't even have a go-kart.
Doesn't matter.
Cuthbertson through on Turney. Turney in the dirt.
Florida kart racers, you asked for it and we're going to bring it. Introducing Florida Karting Championship, FLKC, a brand new racing series coming to Florida in 2026.
Micro Swift getting set to come your way. The 4 of Liam 4 on the pole position on the inside. Green flag in the air. We go racing into Micro Swift almost 3 wide. Further back in the field, Dutch Westbrook involved in contact. How about Diesel Maxwell? The Mohawk-powered AMAX machine gets through the carnage at the start.
Unfortunate for Dutch Westbrook in turn 1. See Evan Leish on your screen in the 17. There's the 41.
Yeah, right behind him, Bo Wyatt there. He had a pretty good start as well. Started 5th. Finds himself, I think, further up, closer to 4th. And he's going to stack up the field just right behind. We saw Westbrook collected at the start of this race, I think, as well for Tyler Blackwood. Might have lost some time just trying to avoid the carnage there. But we'll see how they shape up here. You see on the left-hand side of your screen, Austin Taylor in 8th. Ho down in 9th. Jorgensen fell back to 12th. Westbrook able to get back going in 11th. A couple of moves. Blackwood went by on Braun. And then further up, Leish finds himself now down to 14th. Bo Wyatt up to 3rd.
Bo Wyatt up into 3rd. We see a cart off track. I believe that's the final corner. Looks to be the 88.
That's Brinkham. Bella Brinkham, I think, or yeah, Bella Brinkham, the 88, off the racetrack, just on the exit of turn number 11. Unfortunate there, but you look back at your leader, Liam 4, with a great start for him here, Kyle, in this one.
Yeah, great start for Liam 4, kid out of Plymouth, Wisconsin, not far, the hometown kid, getting it done here in heat number 1, 7/10 over a Harrison Apel.
Yeah, Bill Wyatt now with the fastest lap of the race on lap number 3. About 3 car lengths in between himself and the driver up in second. And then again, back to Blackwood. You know, all these drivers have been super busy in the seat all over the country. I mean, just announcing a couple of weekends ago about Tyler Blackwood over at Amarillo Kart Complex in the state of Texas, out of Midland, Texas. He now finds himself all the way over in Wisconsin, and a couple of moves. Bo Wyatt looking on the inside there as well, and Harrison Apel. They're going to go side by side. And how about Evan Leish now getting himself closer to the rear bumper of the red, white, and blue Bennick machine, who gets a little out of shape as Apel able to go back around the outside. All the while, Liam 4 continues to extend his gap here, Kyle.
Yeah, Bo Wyatt thought about it, didn't really work out, and Evan Leish falls back as we see a push from Blackwood there that gets the Bennicks now ahead of Apel. Going into turn number 3, Leish looking to the inside of Apel. Not quite, as now Leish gets to the inside of Bo Wyatt. Incredible stuff here in Micro Swift. I mean, these cadets, they know how to put on a show. It feels like every corner there's 3 wide passes. You know, these kids really get after it. Yeah, but as interesting as it is right here, Kyle, it's you know, it's, I wouldn't say hard to watch because it's interesting, but you know, we're seeing our leader run away with the lead of the race. So, you know, more than anything, you have, you know, 2 drivers that are now, I think, going to look to work together on the same sticker kit with Bo Wyatt and Tyler Blackwood. But even then, kind of look at the time that we lost to the lead, right? Almost 3 seconds in between Blackwood and Liam 4. So, you know, it's been interesting to watch, but we're seeing 4, you know, start to have that room to stretch his legs a little bit. I think he's going to catch a little bit of lap traffic, it looks like, early in this one. I mean, I've seen crazier things, but at what point, Caleb, because at this point you're stopping the bleeding, right? If you're at a almost 3-second gap, at what point when it's the first heat do you just decide, oh, well, we'll get him in the next heat, let's just try and get the best finish that I can get and maybe not think about the win?
I think that's probably now, right? We kind of saw 2-3 laps of racing that, you know, lap 2 is usually when you know, probably tame down a little bit more. But, you know, if you're Dutch Westbrook, right, who, you know, had a nightmare start really, you know, to this race, it's all about making up positions and, you know, being back in 11th after the start of the race. He's now looking to go for 7th. So Westbrook's just, you know, picking and choosing his moves, right? Going through, trying to lose the least amount of time as well, trying to make the moves. And you saw that perfectly, right, in turn number 2. He got clear as now George Ho and Liam Astalis, they were side by side there, the 7 of Astalis, the 5 of Ho. Just continuing to battle. Austin Taylor actually in that mix as well. They were fighting for second as issues for Tyler Blackwood. The driver who was in second place, he's just on the inside of turn number 2, it looks like. One more driver into the pits, way off into the pits.
I believe that was Bella Brinkman.
Yeah, that was Bella Brinkman, who we saw in the wall earlier in this one. Man, a couple of drivers out of this one early. But Dutch Westbrook starting to turn it up here as we have a battle further back to 37 of Braun. Leish fighting for 3rd. And there you have side by side Austin Taylor and the 5 of Ho side by side, working their way up to turn number 2.
Yeah, Austin Taylor making a move on George Ho. So you guys see on your screen now, that is the 18 of Harrison Apel. So you see now Dylan Braun with Evan Leish. This is the battle for P4 and P5 on track. It looks like Bo Wyatt has gotten to P2 and then just kind of just started hitting his marks and got going pretty well here. You know, unfortunate DNF here for Tyler Blackwood.
Let's take a look at it as well, right? For Bo Wyatt, it's about 3.2 seconds in between himself and our leader here in heat race number 1 in Micro Swift, presented by Top Kart USA. And then again, I mean, you said it perfectly there, right? All about hitting your marks from here on out. Harrison Apel, the same. It's just a matter of picking up points, right? We talked about, you can win that main event, but it's about being consistent, thinking long run. If you are in it for the championship here this year in 2025, even if you want a better starting spot in the main event, it's about, finishing in the best position possible. And that's just unfortunate for, the likes of Brinkham, who we saw in the grass and in the wall earlier. The same for Tyler Blackwood, who I think had, the equal pace to Liam Four, who actually just had the fastest lap of the race all on his own. And he's extending his gap, right? And, playing, coming out here into a race, you say it a lot, right? Coming out here to play chess, not checkers throughout the races. That's I think, important. It's almost the same as like picking your battles in school, right?
Yeah.
A little bit as well here in this heat race.
Yeah, you kind of want to pick and choose, what you do, and especially,
and where you do it as well, right?
Yeah.
Has been super important, right? Like that's why to me, especially for young drivers, of watching on the fence line and throughout heat races, throughout the day, and seeing where, where drivers are losing time for making moves, whether it's turn 2. I think that's the biggest one where we've seen kind of, time being lost, whether it's turn 3, trying to hold on to it around the outside. Seen a lot of drivers end up in the grass. It's just a matter of, where you want to do it, when you want to do it, how you want to do it as well is, I think, the biggest thing. And for a lot of young drivers to watch as well, to kind of sit there with a coach, with a parent, and observe how the racetrack is racing, where the racetrack is racing, and when, I guess you can say as well, are a couple of the big factors as well here this weekend, Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, you got to pick and choose, and especially if you're, when you think championship as well, which let's take a look at the championship as we run. Right now, Liam Forbes, we see a battle now between Apel and Braun. Braun, one of those in the championship, currently sitting second, 50 points behind Austin Taylor. Now, Austin Taylor is sitting P7, so Braun's going to make a little bit of a jump this heat towards the championship fight. Your leader, Liam Four, sits in 6th, 157 points back, so this is going to be a huge increase for Liam Four towards winning a championship.
Yeah, this is good, right? Weekends like this, the weekends, we always say championship drives or a championship weekend is, when you're able to sweep, when you pick up the maximum points for Liam Four, right? That's a qualifying pole position. That's going to send a couple points his way. At the end of this one, this is going to send a couple of more points his way with the heat race victory if it, it stays like this. And then again, if your competitors are battling for second on back and racing for second, really, that's going to fall your way even more, right? That's going to give you a little bit of an edge as well moving forward throughout the weekend. So this could be a championship weekend for Liam Four over, the likes of Austin Taylor that we saw in round number 1, and, as well for other drivers who are doing one-offs like Dutch Westbrook, who have challenged, but kind of staying with them, right? Staying with them is really key as we see more battling there for second. And we saw that move by Leish that, uncompleted. That's going to send Leish to fall under pressure from Westbrook, who goes by. Makes it look easy next on the chopping block here. Dylan Braun. As Westbrook looking to go. Surprises us a little bit there into the sweeping right-hander, and I think surprised Dylan Braun a little bit because he dropped the tire into the dirt. Leish was able to get back ahead.
Yeah, Braun now loses a spot to Evan Leish, and that'll put Dutch Westbrook into the 4th spot, now chasing down Harrison Apel. Let's take a look. The gap between 1st and 2nd hasn't really changed much, and then it's back down to 5 seconds to 3rd. 8 seconds to 4th to Dutch Westbrook. And yeah, there's your leader, Liam Four, in the Tony Kart from Plymouth, Wisconsin. Currently 4 seconds ahead of Bo Wyatt.
And how about Liam Four, right? You look back at 2021, he's Kid Kart Club champion. over at his local club, only 8 years old. Back in 2022, a Cup Karts North America, North and South. Vice champion, finishing second. And this year, sticking on the Tony Kart, running Cadet and Micro Swift, running over at CKNA, SCUSA, United States Pro Kart Series, Stars, Championship Series, and Route 66. We've seen a lot of these kiddos be super, super busy throughout the years, right? And again, he's kind of picking up right where he left off after a good year in 2025. You look back at the last round of the season, finished second on the podium here as well with a Harger Award. Back here at Road America for the Tuesday night series back in 2024 as well. I mean, a racetrack that he's been super familiar with. Has a couple of race wins to his name, and, kind of one of the regulars that we've seen here at Route 66 with podium finishes, throughout the year at, our return to Route 66 racing action. Got his first interview there last year back in July, on July 4th weekend, over at Whiteland Circuit. But this kid's been all over the place, and I think it shows in the driving, right? It shows in the consistency he showed to pull away on your own at a racetrack where we've kind of predicted it to be very draft dependent. Has been a great showing for this young kid who's been, busy up here in the state of Wisconsin, and, one of the regular drivers that we see at Route 66. So the number 4, Liam 4, I think the number are going to stick for quite some time, but in 2025, he's going to look to put a number 1 plate maybe on that Tony Kart. He's definitely going to do so, I tell you what, here in heat race number 1, Kyle. Got out to the lead of this race early. Hasn't taken a look back since. Liam 4 comes to the white flag. Again, catching us by surprise, I would say, for the second time today, right?
Second time. Yeah, they didn't really get us this time, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, Liam 4.
I caught it early there.
Yeah, you got it. Liam 4 with the lead. It's not going to change much. And we got one extra lap here. There's Liam 4 going to take what looks to be, by our ticker, an 8-second gap now. Dutch Westbrook actually got around Harrison Apel into the 3rd spot. So that's up to 3rd for Dutch Westbrook. I do believe our timing is a little, as you see Dutch 7 seconds back. Or my bad, sorry. Bo is 6 seconds back. As Liam 4 out of the final corner. Domination in heat number 1. Takes the checkered flag. And that'll do it for Micro Swift heat number 1.
You see a little fist bump in the air as well for Liam 4. Just excited about that performance on home soil. Again, he's quite familiar with Road America. Finishes in the lead of this one. Bo Wyatt to Dutch Westbrook. Harrison Apel, Evan Leish. Your top 5. Dylan Braun, Austin Taylor. George Ho, Lawrence Jorgensen, Liam Asselis. Your top 10. A couple of drivers couldn't join us as we came to the checkered flag. The likes of Tyler Blackwood. Bella Brinkham into the pits early. Diesel Maxwell, I believe, not sure if he was able to close this one out. I think he was. With that being said, what a moment for myself and Kyle to catch our breaths. We'll be right back with more racing action set to come your way from the Briggs and Stratton Motorplex. Well, let's run you down your starting lineup here in Mini Swift. Santi Orioli, Dominic Gaddis, and all MPG Academy, row number 1. Cam Johnson on row number 2 alongside Will Feidinger.
Starting row number 3, Simon Klein and Hudson Howard. Row number 4 is Slayton Baldock and Brody Stoffel.
Coming off a big win last weekend over at the King of the Castle for Stoffel. Starting on row number 4 is Mini Swift debut. Back to Camila Canache, Michael Supaka on row number 5. Go back to Clayton Stiles, Eric Wojciechowski, Slate Harrell starting back in 13th alongside Rhett Johnson. Weldon Bogut starting 15th alongside a Caleb that's spelled quite right here with a K. How about the 16 of Caleb Klimek starting on row number 8. Further back with, I believe that was Lewin Mock as well. 17 drivers total here in Mini Swift as we get set to take the green flag for Santi Orioli, for Dominic Gaddis. One kid local to Miami, racing all the way up north. And for Dominic Gaddis, similar conditions for him here this weekend. Over to what we got over in Indy. Nice weather. How about the Pacers?
How about them Pacers? Not last night, though, but how
Thunder
about the Pacers?
Thunder and 6. How about that?
Oh, no way.
All jokes aside, here to watch some racing. Ready to go. We talk about the home of cheese curds, home of the famous
Remind me later. I'll ask
Road
you.
America. Yellow flag in the air.
Flag.
No green, no green, no green. Halliburton's been pretty good this year, though, I will say. Last night, I mean, kind of MIA, but outside of that,
yeah, I mean,
pretty good in game 1.
It's nice to see Benedict Matherin show up for one game and then not last night. So,
weren't you a big Cleveland guy back in the day?
I grew up in Ohio, but I moved to Indianapolis, and I don't like the Colts. And our only other professional sport.
I feel like you were. I feel like
NBA.
I've definitely seen you with a Cleveland Cavaliers jersey though before.
Maybe.
Bandwagon? Question?
No. I don't know. What do you have in Houston?
The Houston Rockets, NASA.
Mm-hmm.
Ever heard of Houston? We have a problem. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot in Houston, right? Huge rap scene down there as well. Pretty big. So, I mean, there's a lot in Houston. There's Cypress, Texas. That's where I'm out of. Speed Sports Racing Park. That's
okay. Have you ever heard of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway?
Never.
Yeah.
Never heard of it. Small.
I was gonna ask
on
you.
there
I was
every
gonna
now
turn
and then,
this
right?
conversation around. Like
Small
I've
race,
just been
right?
ignoring you.
Small race out there.
I was gonna ask you what your favorite cheese was, but we'll get back to that later because we got a race going on now.
How about some mozzarella cheese? Like
That's so basic.
Mozzarella.
You're in Wisconsin. You're saying mozzarella. All right.
Let's get this race started here. A huge shout out to our crew out here this weekend as well, making it all possible. Hunter Bolton out there bringing the shots in turn number 1 for newbie Joey as well. Bringing this shot here towards the back of the field, but we get going. That's a good start for Santi Orioli up at the front. Cameron Johnson a second side by side for third. Dominic Gaddis just got swallowed up by the drivers in second and third. He slots back in line in fourth. As we look through the field, Hudson Howard got a good start. He puts himself pretty much stagnant, I would say. Stays in sixth with Stoffel back to Harrell.
Orioli had a big jump there at the start, but it looks like Cam Johnson, my mistake, made his way back to the rear bumper of Orioli as we're about to complete the first lap.
Whoa.
Cam Johnson to the top at the end of the final lap, or the first lap. About to start lap number 2. Orioli coming back on the inside, going into turn 2, into the chicane, gets it done. Orioli back to the lead. Cam Johnson leads lap number 1.
Stack 'em and pack 'em, boys. Simon Jack Klein look for a move there as well. Cameron Johnson retakes it, takes control of this race. Orioli wasting absolutely no time. We have a race in our hands here, race fans. We got one going. Orioli and Johnson kind of going back and forth, deciding who wants to take control of this race.
I think Cam Johnson kind of has the ability to decide when he wants to make a move or not. at what point, maybe now, do you decide, okay, if Orioli really wants it that bad this early in the race, maybe I'll just sit and wait, because I don't think Cam Johnson's going anywhere throughout these next 13 laps. Yeah, and the ball's on his side of the court as well, right? I mean, this is kind of where you make the decision. All right, do I want to go right back by on Santi Orioli, or, I know he's going to go right back on me. Do I take my time? Am I patient now? Do I work with the likes of Simon Jack Klein, Dominic Gaddis as well, who's sitting in fourth? And as well, home race for Cam Johnson here this weekend. I would say maybe a little more local to Dowsing, Wisconsin, over at the Badger Kart Club. But even then, for the Merlin driver for Franklin Motorsports, putting himself in second, right? You look at how he ended last year with a race victory over at KA100 Circuit Wyland as well. I think a pretty good result for him at the opening weekend here this year. But even then, ball's on his side of the court now. He makes a decision if he wants to go. And again, he risks bringing in more drivers into the mix and into the fight, where if you try to make up one spot, you might lose 2 or 3 in the process here, Kyle. Yeah, for sure. I mean, now you see it kind of space out, kind of just get a little bit calm for the moment. Only lap number 4. But unlike the other races we've seen, the entire top 5 are all together as Klein is still there, right on the bumper of Cam Johnson, maybe losing a little bit of ground through the downhill section. But Cam Johnson kind of gets to decide now as we see a move. There's Dominic Gaddis trying to go for a move, but decides better of it and gets it taken advantage of there by Baldock. Baldock able to get himself up to 4th. Little quick look back to about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, when we hit the opening round of Route 66 racing action in Mini Swift. It was Cam Johnson in the main event over Dominic Gaddis and Wolf Eidinger, who finished on the podium with, I believe it was Danny O'Gara as well as Simon Jack Klein. But even then, these drivers in it for the championship here this year. Not the same case for Santi Orioli, just looking to pick up a trophy before he races here again in about 2 weeks' time. But again, consistent for Cam Johnson. Qualified 3rd. In Heat 1, it was a 2nd place finish as well as Heat race number 2. And then in the main event, he was finally able to go one spot better, a spot that he'd been looking for all weekend long, to put himself on the top step. For Simon Jack Klein as well, this is, I think, probably the best we've seen him in the last couple of months. Putting himself now well in the fight. He's kind of been in the top 5, in the top 10, trying to put himself in the mix. And this weekend, he's really found, I think, comfort more than anything here at Road America, a track that suited his driving style a whole lot. One driver off, that's the 137 of Clayton Stiles, who's out early. Unfortunate for Clayton Stiles, out this early in the race, about to get to lap 7 here. Santi Orioli still leading with Cam Johnson and Simon Klein. See, Dominic Gaddis made his way into the 4th position, got in there over Slayton Baldock. Now working on Simon Klein. We'll see if Gaddis has anything to say about getting onto the podium. Yeah, not much yet. And again, I mentioned earlier, right, that it's kind of in the hands of Cam Johnson right now, right? Orioli's the one with the lead. He's the one with, if you want to say quote-unquote, control in this race, where he kind of sets the pace. Think about it a little bit as a track race or a long distance track race, where the guy who's out in front is kind of setting the pace for the field, and that's what Orioli's really doing here at this point. And Johnson just kind of keeping him honest, right? A little tap here and there, let him know he's still there. But again, it's on Cam to make that move, and I think that's when we're going to start to see the fight ensue, and we're going to see more drivers to put themselves into the mix. So you see Hudson Howard, Stoffel's there further back as well. Feidinger, I think, just fell back to 7th. Supaka in 9th, and Slate Harrell into the top 10. So a couple of the younger drivers, right, trying to get closer to a couple of the bigger kids in this field who are, you want to say, veterans, so call it, that have been doing this for quite some time. We finally saw a move there
by Dominic Gaddis. Got one spot closer to his MPG Academy teammate, Santi Orioli. And that's just a matter of time. You saw Gaddis kind of close into the rear bumper of Klein as this race went on. And it's finally a moment of, all right, what can I do from one spot better? What can I do? Can I, get myself up to second? Can I help my team out a little bit? Can I help my, points finish in this first heat race out just that little bit more as well here, Kyle, where, you're really not going to find out until you get yourself up there. And I think Dominic Gaddis might experiment here a little bit. And Cam Johnson as well. You just saw him take a look back. He's going to know pressure's coming his way in about a lap, 2 laps time. So it's decision time, right?
And Dominic Gaddis went purple the last 2 laps. So at this point, if you're Cam Johnson, who's still lapping just a little bit faster than Orioli, in a close race like this, you could play it 2 ways. I mean, you could stay and try and, make a move on Santi later in the race, or you could just decide to go now, break up the pack, and just get it going between the lead pack and hope it goes your way and just play it from there. I mean, right now, as you see Dominic Gaddis maybe give a little bit of the bumper there to Cam Johnson, got him a little bit out of shape, lost a little bit of time to Orioli in that final sector. Gaddis still holds the fastest lap of the race overall, but everyone not really improving that last time as they close right back up to Orioli.
It's just kind of a race of margins, right? Drivers are better in, a couple of corners than others. You have that, long straightaway up to turn number 2. That's also a huge factor here. That's going to bring a lot of them up in a play. So for Johnson, we're getting close to the time. We're getting close there, and I think Gaddis probably understands that more than anything now where, bear with Cam, I think, for a lap or 2. Or the same, for Gaddis. Do you play the team game? Do you get yourself up in a second? These are a lot of questions, right, that we're asking that I think we're going to see answered here in about, 4 minutes' time whenever this race kind of starts to heat up a little bit more and, just checking the gaps for Johnson, right? A look over the shoulder once you get on that straightaway. For Orioli as well, looking over the shoulder, seeing, I'm still in control of this. Who's behind me? Who's the driver just 2 spots behind? What does my gap look like? Because this is all taken into play whenever we get it to about 2 laps to go. And for the drivers that are just further back, for Hudson Howard, for Baldak, for Feidinger, for Stoffel, Supaka, you're kind of waiting, right, as well. You don't want to fight all too much for about 5th on back to where you lose touch with these guys where, you can't, you're too far back where you can't get yourself back into the mix to the top 3. So it's just a matter of, staying in line. And I said this last week and the week before a little bit, you almost have to bite your tongue a little bit to wait, to be patient. At the end of the day, I mean, it is a virtue, right? So getting yourself up there, it's critical. Just keeping that your head on your shoulders. And the closing stage of this one is, it's that much more important with a racetrack that I think has taken really no prisoners so far here today, Kyle.
Yeah, in that lap, I think Cam Johnson and Dominic Gaddis were as close as they've been this entire race, and they thought about it, maybe still just a little too early for them to go and make a move, as we're now taking a look at Simon Klein, who's kind of fallen off of the top 3 a little bit. As I see, Dominic Gaddis looked inside of Cam Johnson maybe a little bit. I think there might come a point where Gaddis becomes a little bit impatient towards the end, because if you're 3rd on back, you're not really sure, because Cam could wait until the final 2 or 3 corners, right?
You just have to plan it more than anything.
Yeah.
You kind of have to plan the position where you're going to be when those 2 laps to go. And again, these Microns are improving by the day. You can actually order your Micron 6, the new one, over at Shop AKR, the official sponsor of Kart Chaser and all of our live coverage throughout the year. You can order that today. So with the new updates, you can see the laps, the lap times, everything. So they're looking down at those Microns, seeing how many laps they've done. Coming into the race, how many laps you're going to go out there and do. So you're starting to plan ahead, right? You're coming up to those 2 laps to go. You're getting closer to the end. In the shoes of Dominic Gaddis, do I go 1 spot better? Do I put myself in a position to take a heat race victory possibly? And for Hudson Howard as well, it's like, all right, we're getting close to the end. I'm staying put here. I'm trying to hold on to my position, not get past, because with 2 laps to go, you're going to start to see a little bit of shuffling here.
Well, the other thing to think about is, Dominic Gaddis is your points leader in this class over Cam Johnson by only 2 points. So this finish in this heat could make the difference between who has the points lead leaving the heat. Not only that, but thinking about the event. But this is the championship battle right here in second and third.
Yeah, thinking about the long game, right? Super early, only in round number 2 of Route 66 racing competition for 2025. Again, we saw Johnson try it at the start. He tried it a couple times. And again, it's just a very mature approach when, I don't want to get myself into a fight 1 lap, 2 laps into this race. I want to make it, towards the end of it. So with the white flag in the air, it's time to go. It's really now or never for Cam Johnson, or else Gaddis is going to look for one as well. Turn number 3, I think, is the closest we've seen Johnson. And indeed, Orioli going to go low. Johnson looks to open up his line a little bit. Dominic Gaddis went wider than the 2 drivers ahead of him. And now we have a fight on our hands. And now it's time for Simon Jack Klein and company to get on it, right? Jump on it, try and close down as much as you can, because we have a fight in our hands for the lead of this race. Johnson staying in line. Gaddis looking to set up an over-under. Little sideways on the exit for Orioli for Johnson as well. Side by side for the lead. Johnson sets up an over-under. Wheel-to-wheel contact. Here comes Simon Jack Klein from 4th. Looking to steal away a podium position. Orioli going to hold on to the end. Side by side for 2nd. Gaddis, Johnson coming across. What an end to it. We had to wait a long time for it. But Orioli, elbows out at the start, elbows out at the end.
What a finish.
Takes away heat race number 1. Dominic Gaddis to Johnson to Klein to Hudson Howard. How about the rookie, a top 5 finish?
I think Gaddis just decided to go a little bit earlier than Cam Johnson had expected or wanted to there at the end. Orioli knew he had to defend going into 3. Knew he had to basically white line at the rest of the lap. But I think Gaddis going for the 2-for-1 special at Kmart there in the end kind of caught him off guard.
What's Kmart?
Oh, I forgot. You're a little younger than me. You don't remember what that is.
You know what HEB is? You ever been to an HEB?
No, I haven't.
Maybe a Whataburger, maybe? You ever heard of the – dude, listen to this, right? Over in the state of Texas, Grand Place, talk about barbecue, talk about everything in between, talk about big shopping malls, talk about, everything's bigger and better. You talk about an HEB, 2 stories, grocery store with a barbecue restaurant down in the middle over in Austin, Texas. Got one over in Houston, Texas as well. Everything in between. There's nothing better. There's nothing bigger in the grand state of Texas.
I need to teach you about a Kroger or a Meijer. You ever been to a Meijer?
No idea what that is.
Exactly.
Ever heard of a Buc-ee's as well?
Yeah. No, I love
Biggest
Buc-ee's.
gas stations in the world with everything you can eat, triple meat burgers. You got, I don't know. You got a whole lot of stuff that you can try from down in the Great South.
I've had a brisket from Buc-ee's. I've had a brisket.
What do you think?
Oh, it was amazing. I love Buc-ee's.
Better than a pub sub? You think better than a pub sub?
I mean, yeah. Yeah, you're talking about southern things still, though. I mean, like, I need to,
Even then, we don't got Publix down in the state of Texas.
I mean, for someone in the Midwest right now, I feel like there's so much for you to experience here that you just are just negligent to think about right now. You know what I mean? Like, we got Spotted Cow up here, we got Bratwurst, and here you are talking about HEB and Buc-ee's. I don't respect it.
We'll agree to disagree here. We'll pick back up on this in about 2 heat races time, because 206 Senior, presented by Lawson Speed Shop, getting set to hit the racetrack here in a couple of moments. Let us know as well in the live chat. HEB, Kmart.
Kmart doesn't even exist anymore.
Brisket, bratwurst. Just let us know. We'll circle back here later on today. But that being said, we get set to go with 206 Senior. Let's run you down that starting lineup if we have it. It was a great qualifying session for Quentin McPherson. The same can't be said about his first heat race in KA100 Senior, where he fell down the order. But this time out, a little bit of a reset. Full, I guess you can say 180. He's starting alongside Louis Palmisano, Wyatt Leslie, Jerry Fandry on row number 2, Tyler Stoper starting alongside Shane Reddy on row number 3.
AJ Roderick and Emily DeMaster on row number 4. Eli Carter and Max Kraus, row number 5.
How about Roderick Racing Development, row number 4? Go back just outside of the top 10. Back to row number 6 here with Max Janowek, Connor Fashing, Dane Underwood, Adam Maxwell, Angelina Vasquez, Braden Zerves on row number 8, Jack Sutton, James Mann on row number 9, Vincent Fritz, Logan Lomar on row number 10. Your top 20 starters.
Kyle Lomar, Thomas Streck, Giovanni Vasquez, Zach Price, Oliver Gaffer, Jackson Miller, Luke Norris, Jackson Barr, Miles Fodry, and River Carlson rounds out your top 30.
The last couple of rows that are getting set to take the green flag in one of the biggest 206 senior fields that we've seen in Route 66 competition. Back to Jeremy Mason, Thomas Ryan, Kendrick Padilla, Lily Martineau, Michael Smiley, Tommy Boyce, Nagisa Yoshikawa, Zachary Abraham not qualifying, abdominal pain for him. Had to take some medication and miss out. This kid from California, I believe, all the way up in Wisconsin. Quite surprised to see him out here, but Zach's been real busy, doing everything he can to get back in the seat, working, wrenching, weekend after week at a racetrack. And to quote him, he said, "I just got to make up 20 spots every heat race to put myself within a good spot for the main event tomorrow." Going to be a lot of work. Going to be a lot of work for Quentin McPherson as well to hold off 38, 37 hungry drivers as one driver further back in the field issues
588 at Tommy Boyce.
And we're not going to get it. Indeed, going to get him one more go around. We'll see if Boyce is able to get back started at the 588 here.
Still having trouble trying to get the engine refired. Stuck at the end of turn number 1.
I will say it's quite difficult to get your your kart started when you have to pull it like that. You just got to crank it, and again, got to hold the maybe pull up the choke a little bit as well to get some gas in it. Got some help on the way, able to get back going.
Here he goes. I believe they were telling him to use the cutoff so we can get going a little quicker.
It takes some skill here to kind of pull across your body, pull the choke up a little bit. It actually happened to me at the Summer Nationals in Pittsburgh last year, coming to the start.
Get a nice workout in.
Yeah, I mean, definitely your heart rate goes through the roof whenever you're coming to the start, because the revs are so low on these 206 engines as well. You just got to keep your foot on the gas, keep it going a little bit, and just kind of pull it as well at the same time. But heart rate definitely pumping, I would say. Even then, the nerves going to start to kick up for everybody in this field, right? Especially if you're stuck kind of in the middle of it.
Excited to see what Quentin McPherson does here on the pole. Had a rough start in KA Senior, but this time he's starting from the best starting spot, P1. So I'm excited to see what he can do throughout this race.
Yeah, we'll see what Quentin McPherson can do. This time by, I've been told actually previously that my pronunciation isn't probably the best. A little bit of a Midwest kick to it. Maybe you haven't gotten it down yet. Hopefully he can get this start down. And you see the long train of 206 engines getting set to take the green flag in heat race number 1. It's a good start for the inside line. And coming across there as well for Palmisano. Looks like everybody able to make it through. Leslie slots up in a 3rd. Jerry Fandry to 4th. Single file. We've kept them all so far.
A couple big sends deep in the field. Otherwise, it looks like the 541 of Wyatt Leslie through the dirt.
That's going to take some time to clean off those tires here as well for Wyatt Leslie. The 539 of Palmisano now. Going to ask for a little bit of help, and we were hoping that McPherson could get a much better start in heat race number 1. He got it. How about Fandry looking for 3rd? He goes through on the lime green TB kart to get clear. Single file further back. Everybody going to stack up, and again on one of the most draft dependent classes in the nation, with the likes of Fandry, who's running up there in the national scene, Leslie as well, who's been competitive in Route 66 action, expect these veterans to work together as side-by-side action further back, one driver into the grass.
You can see going into the chicane, Quinn McPherson, who's already a tall guy, doing the Briggs tuck, as you mentioned earlier. You can really notice it because he's pretty tall.
I mean, you got to use it, right? Especially when you're about, I think, 6 foot, maybe 5'11". The likes of McPherson, you know, you're almost like a parasail, right? Where, think about it, a little bit of a boat. It's almost like an anchor kind of holding you back. So getting yourself down low and maybe more aerodynamic like Wyatt Leslie, like Jerry Fandry, as well as a couple of the other younger drivers here in the field, and get down low, head onto the steering wheel. See it there with Leslie just, again, pointing forward, and this is perfect, right? You know, to close down the gap to McPherson, this has been huge to, you know, he got the start over you guys, for one. Two, it's all about working together, and we're seeing the same further back for Emily DeMaster, AJ Roderick, that are starting to close in closer to the back. That's actually Tyler Stouffer. My apologies, a 5:23.
Jerry Fandry goes purple last time by, about a 10th faster than McPherson. He's pushing Wyatt Leslie right now. It looks like they've made some ground up. They're about 6/10 behind. I would imagine this time by, they'll have closed that gap up. Fandry pushing Leslie. McPherson really doesn't have much help or anyone pushing him yet. So we'll see this time by across the line what the lap times end up being. It's Leslie going purple this time, and I was right. They closed in about 2 more tenths to the leader, McPherson.
Yeah, they're starting to close in. This is you know, great considering Leslie, I think, had a round number 1 to forget at the opening round of Route 66 competition. He's actually not even in championship talks right now. Finds himself down in 24th. You know, and what was really kind of an opening weekend of forget, found himself in the wall. For Fandry, it's been about, you know, almost consistency. And that's been the name of the game, and I think he's going to want to go. Feels like he's a little bit better than Wyatt Leslie. He's going to go up to second. That's also, I mean, we talked about planning, right? Putting yourself in the position in second. You're the first driver to really have a go at McPherson whenever you guys do close in that gap like they have been so far this race. And even while tucking, McPherson can't really get his head out of the wind. He's about the same height as Fandry, who's sitting normal in the Kart.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really get your head out of the wind when you're as tall as McPherson, so you do what you got to do. Jerry Fandry with the move around Leslie now into P2. 11 stitches on the top of his head, wearing a bandage around his head under the helmet. Lost a fight with a RV slide out.
Yeah, unfortunate, but
to start Thursday. But he's been P1 in most sessions. Got caught out a little bit in qualifying, but here he is running P2 behind McPherson. Yeah, a couple stitches, not slowing Jerry down, and I mean it was serious. I mean 11 stitches is nothing to you know. I mean, so
there you go. Here we have a couple of moves for third. You got Stoppler, Palmisano finally able to go by Wyatt Leslie, who's just been kind of lacking a little bit here in lap number 5. We saw Fandry pass him. I mean, I think he's going to take his time with McPherson there as well, but Leslie just, you know, started this race really good, has to be said. That same pace really hasn't, I think, been seen much after lap number 4. But even then, the Coyote Millwright machine of McPherson's been pretty dialed in so far. He was dialed in as well, you know, a month and a half ago at KA100 Circuit Whiteland. And again, looking at the times on our screen here, and as well looking at the championship. You talk about Adam Maxwell, who had a great win over at KA100 Circuit Whiteland to start off the year, and you know this weekend where he finds himself kind of on the back foot after happy hour and into qualifying as well, trying to qualify out of the slow groups to get himself up to mix. He has a lot of work to do here in this one, Kyle. He's just now getting himself into the top 10. What a way to end up at the end of the weekend over in Whiteland, as well for Fandry to actually didn't finish on the podium, just lacked a little bit of pace there, but good heat results. And McPherson as well to finish third in the main event. Shane Reddy finished in 4th. Max Krause talked about the rookie being impressive. This weekend, I think not going to be much of what he was expecting, but even then, we're seeing everybody just stay patient halfway through this race. So we're probably seeing a much different story further back in the field here, Kyle.
Yeah, you know, back to Adam Maxwell. I mean, when it comes to winning championships, I mean, I think the thing to note is, you know, you're not going to be perfect every weekend, right? The thing I always look at when I think of championships is, you know, as a big IndyCar guy, you think of Scott Dixon or Alex Palou a few years ago in 2023, where they won one race, but were just so good over the course of a season. And then on those races, like this weekend for Adam Maxwell, to be in the first group in qualifying, qualify poorly and still be 10th to grab 10th place points in heat number. I mean, this is only heat number 1. If he can continue to just stop the bleeding on the weekend and just get some good points and then go to the next race, because you're not going to be perfect every weekend. So, I mean, if you can just try to salvage what you can, that's what champions are made of at the end of the day. It's not winning every race. It's not domination. It can be, but most of the time it's really not.
Yeah, we talked about that last year as well, right? With Maxwell, with, you know, and what a great start to the year for him. Has one race victory already on the year to his name. So that's great. And, you know, how about a kid who's also in the hunt, right? Not too far off. Max Krause, the driver right behind him, the 514 Fandry Daniels Racing TB Kart. That kid was really impressive out at KA100 Circuit Whiteland whenever, you know, the first time we kind of saw him break out on the scene. A lot of work in the offseason to get himself ready for the weekend. Very, very young. I believe 14, 15 years old. I think first year in senior racing action. First year, I think, running a regional series. And, you know, it's a matter of preparation, matter of learning. And with the amount of weight that's on that kart, they actually snapped the chassis over at the opening weekend. And, you know, even then, welded that thing back together, got it fast again. And he was consistent, I think, to me, one of the biggest rookie standouts that weekend. So Krause, you know, we're going to be one to watch, I would say, this year here in Route 66 racing action. Just keep an eye on that driver that's been definitely promising throughout the year. A couple more movers there further back in the field. We look just on the edge of the top 10. AJ Roderick fell back to 12th, unfortunately, at the start. Eli Carter back in 13th to James Mann and Oliver Gaffer, your top 15.
Quentin McPherson just went purple last time around with Jerry Fandry pushing him. Jerry Fandry actually set a personal best, and they've actually gapped third place by about 2.3 seconds. This time around, it'll be Jerry Fandry taking back the fastest lap of the race, extending the gap to third by 0.2 in a 3 second. There goes Jerry Fandry for the lead. Jerry Fandry takes the lead into turn number 1 over McPherson. We see a battle for third between Leslie Brewing and Stolper.
There you go.
And McPherson back to the lead. Fandry
kind of trying to negotiate here a little bit, right? It's like, I want to lead. You pass me. I pass you back here and there, but just got to decide on it quite quickly here, right? And you know, if they're not going to give you control of the race, all right, I'll sit in second, wait for 2 laps to go, because they're fighting further back. Leslie was fighting with Stolper there for the third spot. Palmisano ready. I think DeMaster's in the mix there as well. Just that second group while these two are, you know, driving away on a beautiful Saturday afternoon in Wisconsin. There you have Shane Reddy. Palmisano in there. DeMaster actually in that second, in the third group, I should say. Chasing down these drivers on your screen. But even then, not seeing much. We saw that battling, and I think quite quickly when they saw the leader start to fight, they kind of settled down a little bit more. But we'll keep an eye on the 501, the 579 as this race continues. Rookie Shane Reddy has been getting his elbows out. Same thing for Wyatt Leslie, who's just kind of fell off the pace that we saw he had with Fandry. Pretty much after Fandry went around in turn 2, we saw Leslie just fall a little bit off the pace to what the leaders are running. And now falling under fire. Reddy looked like he was going to have a go into turn 9. Thought better of it. In 11, it's going to be time to go. He looks to get clear on the 523 of Stolper.
could see the 524 of Shane Reddy start hopping in the middle of the final corner there. Just didn't get the run in the middle of the corner he needed when he sent it in there on the 523 of Stolper. It just looks like it's not time yet. I feel like he didn't lose much time there in the final corner, but
it's a hard corner to pass in as well, right? I mean,
it's kind of an awkward corner, right? Because the exit opens up so much that over-unders are.
Would you say that's an increasing radius?
I'm not a part of that argument. I don't want to take any part in that argument.
Well, here we go. We'll debate that as well throughout the weekend. He's going to try it again here in turn number 8. Or 9 there, sorry. Shane Reddy's going to get clear, and it's just a kind of weird corner to, I guess, get the move done. The corner opens up so much, and it's almost like you're scrubbing a little bit of speed as well when you do try it on the inside. I think we saw that there with Shane Reddy. He's able to get it, though, this time around. He's going to get clear. Your leader's still working together nicely, pushing away. Go back to the Masters, Irvs, Fashing, and Maxwell. Your top 10 thus far. We're getting close to the end, though, here, Kyle. And finally a change for the lead. Jerry Fandry, the 501, to the point of the field.
And McPherson's coming back on the outside. Jerry defends a little bit. McPherson again to the inside. They're going to be side by side, and with about a 4-second gap, they can afford to do this. Coming to 2 to go this time. I mean, that pack's going to close quickly. They're timing it pretty well, but if they kept batting like this, they might let in third on back. But Jerry Fandry, before that lap when they started battling, they were just consistently setting purple lap times, and the gap already down a second from 3.8 to 2.9 seconds as Jerry defends going into turn 3. McPherson swings wide, and he's going to try the over-under, and he gets it done on Fandry.
I tell you what, Jerry dropped a tire going into turn number 3, had to look over his shoulder. I think it could have been 2, where he had to look over his shoulder and just got a little bit of dirt on that rear left, where I think you're putting most of the load here with more right-hand corners on this racetrack. I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of drivers flip tires as the weekend goes on, maybe Heat 2 and the main event as well throughout the weekend, with how much wear you're kind of putting on the left-hand side of your tires throughout the weekend there as well. But this time, white flag in the air for Fandry, for McPherson, who've gone back and forth so far this race. Last go around, Wyatt Leslie finds himself in third. We go up the hill. McPherson on the inside. Fandry. We saw McPherson set up his move into turn 3 very similarly. Fandry's going to try it now. Opens up wide. Looks to set up an over-under. McPherson defends it perfectly.
A little contact there exiting turn 3. Fandry on McPherson. Let's see, going into the infield here at the bottom of the hill. Fandry underneath McPherson. They're side by side. Jerry's going to have the advantage. He's going to cut underneath McPherson.
Oh, it's side by side, really close, wheel to wheel. You saw Fandry set up his run on the outside. One more time. He's going to have a good run into 11. Can he set up the over-under?
He's going to have the run.
McPherson goes low, side by side on the straightaway. Too close to call, but it's McPherson who gets it done in the end over Jerry Fandry. Wyatt Leslie to Shane Reddy. Palmisano, your top 5.
7/100th of a second. What a race. That was an incredible battle between McPherson and Jerry Fandry. They finished 1-2. Wyatt Leslie finishes 3rd. Shane Reddy, P4. Louis Palmisano, P5. Tyler Stolper, P6. Braden Zervies, P7. Connor Fashing, P8. Max Kraus, P9. And Adam Maxwell, your points leader, rounds out the top 10.
That's it for 206 Senior. Quick commercial break from our side. We'll be right back with more racing action sets that come your way from the Briggs & Stratton Motorplex.
Are you looking to take the next step in your racing journey? Well, look no further than PitFit.
With 2 locations in Charlotte, North Carolina and Indianapolis, Indiana, PitFit trains drivers all the way from grassroots level karting to IndyCar and NASCAR with top-of-the-line personalized coaching to improve physical and cognitive fitness.
For more information on programs, check out PitFit on Instagram or Facebook today.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
Time to go racing in KA100 Junior, presented by P1 Engines. John Antonino, buddy, on row number 1 on the pole position alongside Ezekiel Height. Landon Boer and Benham Abernathy for the Holtz driver development team. On row number 2, Actason Dramaliv and Nathan Golseth. On row number 3, go back to Isaac Nolan and Lincoln Davis. On row number 4, Ryan Mord and Brady Shad. On row number 5, your top 10 starters. We go back to Jacob Majeski. Brandon Siraki, after a deleted lap time in qualifying, puts him back on row number 6. Colby Klemek, Jackson Baldus. Row number 7, Tucker Treve and Benja Fernandez. As it all changes on row number 8, Easton Kubinski, Jack Fieber. On row number 9, to Grayson Wolcott, Kyler Cheatham. Find your favorite driver, 30 plus here this weekend, but we have our eyes set on your most recent winner in junior racing action. John Antonino takes the green flag. We're underway in Road America, side by side, into the historic turn number 2 chicane. Everybody works their way through this time.
See, Cole Tires caught out a few at the start there through the chicane. John Antonino gets a good jump off the start from the pole. You see the MPG Academy karts 1-2 with Benham Abernathy with Holtz DD through the inside, gets it done. He's in a P2. This is really going to help out the championship fight, which is between Abernathy and Antonino. See Nate Golseth, the Texas native, getting his way through the field on lap 1.
How about the A15 of Isaac Nolan as well, making up a couple of moves. We'll see how they all stack up at the end of lap number 1. Antonino to Abernathy to Landon Boer. Nathan Golseth, your top 4. Back to Isaac Nolan, Ezekiel Height, Lincoln Davis, and a couple more starting to make moves further back, all the way back to Tucker Trebe. But we go side by side. Further up the order, Jacob Majeski there. Another one of the RPG Cosmics, I believe, under Millwright Racing this weekend. Still fighting it out for the 4th spot. Asen Dramaliv now looking for the 6th spot over Ezekiel Height. They're going to go at it Look at that move by Dromalev. He gets through.
Nate Golseth was passed by Isaac Nolan that lap. Golseth down to 5th. He's got Dromalev behind him. As you see a battle between the 855 and the 878 now, or the 859. As Ben Abernathy has gotten around John Antonino for the lead. The 817 to the top. You see there's the 815 of Nolan up to 3rd now.
That's a good move there into turn number 3. We've seen that move work for a good number of drivers here this weekend. Isaac Nolan, another one of them here in his heat race. As Boer, we've seen him kind of fall down the order after having a good starting spot in this one. He's now falling under fire to Asen Dromalev, Nathan Golseth, who Dromalev is going to fire first. He's going to go through on Golseth. That's for the 5th spot. Moves further back as well. That's the 812 of Ryan Mort. He got through on Ezekiel Height. Couple of movers here. Brandon Soraki, the 819. After that deleted lap time in qualifying, puts himself right back up into the top 10.
You see Soraki into the top 10. You see now that's Dromalev and Boer on screen, fighting for 4th and 5th. Big gaggle of karts here. There's the 826 and the 822. 822 off the pace. A little bit there through that.
Tucker Trebe looks like he just got out of shape. That allowed Brady Shad on the Millwright Racing OTK to go right on by.
Looks like the front bumper on.
Oh, what a send for the 826 of Clemec.
Yeah,
sends it in from way back
there.
Front bumper
on the front of the 826 at Clemec looks a bit pushed in there. Big dent to the front bumper of the 826. That's not going to help the aerodynamics on that machine. Wonder what happened there. That probably was around turn 3 in the hairpin, turn 4. It's probably what we caught the last bit of on the last lap.
How about Benham Abernathy as well, pulling away on his own. Has gone just about a 10th quicker than Buddy Antonino in the 2nd spot. Isaac Nolan, the quickest driver on the racetrack for Hotz DD. 49.57. Look at him go on the inside of Antonino into turn 9. Nice and clean. What a move by Nolan. He's going to stack up the MPG Academy boys and Boer, Antonino, and Dromalev, who we've seen waste no time to make moves. Look for him to get closer on Boer as well.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what John Antonino does throughout the rest of this race. If he continues to fall back, when do you start defending? When do you start trying to stop guys from getting around you? I mean, still P3, still a long way to go. But now we've got 2 Hotz driver development karts up 1-2, Ben Abernathy and Isaac Nolan, and then 2 MPG Academy karts with John Antonino and Landon Boer in 3rd and 4th. And then Ace Dromalev sitting in 5th on the Techno, who just set the fastest lap of the race.
And he went for another move there. He went just one spot better. I talked about at the start of the lap where he started to close in on Landon Boer. Wasting no time, up to 4th. Move for 2nd. Antonino goes through, but Isaac Nolan with a good run. Here comes Dromalev on the inside. Sent it in a little too deep onto the brakes. Nathan Golseth able to pick up a spot, maybe 2. Gets denied. And Isaac Nolan, I think, starting this lap 2nd. He's all the way back in 6th now. Lost a good number of spots there in the process, Kyle.
Yeah, big gaggle there. Definitely cost them a lot of time. Ace Dromalev, though, got through to P3. There comes Nate Golseth on a move on Boer. Didn't work out, but he's still going to be ahead of the 812 of Ryan, the 815 of Isaac Nolan in the battle for 5th.
Still super impressed by Benham Abernathy, who just set the fastest lap of the race, a 49.4, compared to the 49.6 of Antonino. 0.2 of a second a lap for Benham Abernathy. That he's had a really, really good drive, and I got to remember back to 2024 where he was knocking on the door to a couple of good finishes across the national scenes that we saw hit the Midwest, and he was very impressive, and I think just still looking for that maiden national race victory for Benham Abernathy, but he's developed so much, and I think you're seeing it out on the racetrack here this weekend. Again, you talk about the development for Buddy as well. He's kind of been dabbling in the Lucas Oil School of Racing, getting some open wheel experience, racing with Kart Republic, Kart Sport North America as well. You've seen Ace and Dromaliv as well come to life this year. We saw him in the top 10 just last weekend. So this is great for this kid on the technical kart. For Landon Boer as well, I mean, broke onto the scene, I would say, really in 2024 and been impressive so far in 2025 when we come to Route 66 racing action. The same for Nathan Golseth, who, again, just a kid who was racing on a full Red Bull sticker kit, Red Bull suit, and now, one of the, I guess, most known names in the KA100 Junior paddock. Always a factor. True underdog story for this kid who just started racing not too long ago. And for Isaac Nolan as well. How about the 815, who's really been impressive this weekend on his Hoach Driver Development OTK to take the fight to, again, some of the best drivers in the nation. This is great for Isaac Nolan, and you see just many different stories when you come out to the racetrack of whether you've been in racing for a very long time, or you were born into it, started 2 years ago. All these kids work really, really hard, tirelessly to be here at the racetrack. Their parents as well, to keep them busy, to keep them at the racetrack. And you're seeing that show here as Dromalev goes up to second on John Antonino. Loses a spot at third. Had good pace to start this race, but just kind of a little bit to what we saw with Wyatt Leslie as well, right? As his race progressed, that pace kind of just falling off a little bit as we get to the closing stages of the race.
See, Ace Dromalev just set a personal best last lap, but still not enough to close the gap to Abernathy, which Abernathy has created a 1.7 second gap while the rest of the field have kind of battled. I mean, he got up to such a big gap that I think at this point you're just trying to get the best finish you can because Abernathy is gone. It's only heat number 1, still early in the weekend. You can still recover. Landon Boer, actually, it was a few laps ago where he held the best lap of the race in the 820, sitting in 4th behind Antonino. This is the closest Antonino's been on the back of Dromalev in a minute. Doesn't think about it. Loses a little bit of time in the chicane through turn number 3. Second, third, and fourth. This is close. And Nate Golseth, you can see behind him with Nolan. They were side by side for 5th.
Yeah, just quite stagnant so far throughout this race. Got a couple of drivers close to each other. See Tucker Trebe, Jackson Baldus there further back in the field. They're so close together, but and this is a place where, you're saving your stuff for probably the big national race coming to town in 2 weeks' time. But I think it's probably one of the more power-dependent racetracks that we're going to go to throughout the year. And, depending on the motors you have available to you, slapping on the best piece this weekend, that's probably the answer here at Road America, Kyle.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you don't want to use your best on the first weekend here, right? I mean, you're going to be here for 2 weeks out of the 3, and you definitely want to.
But even then, right? To me, the craziest thing is the last time we were here at Road America, some of these kids that are now racing junior are probably in cadets. So it's a complete, I think, different approach to the weekend where, this is a racetrack we haven't been to in quite some time. Again, last time we were here was on the old MG compound. New MG compound this year that, has been different from racetrack to racetrack with how difficult it is offline to how it lays down rubber. And I think this is a good point as well, a good weekend to try things, to learn, to improve on next weekend when we have, the entire national scene, the entire national paddock come out to Plymouth, Wisconsin. So even then, we're seeing drivers learn, right? Session after session, lap after lap, to improve as much as possible. And I think that's the biggest thing for drivers that could find themselves off the pace here in this race. That being said, white flag in the air, and we're going to start fighting for the second spot. Dramalev, Antonino, Boer, all going to go back and forth. And for our leader in Abernathy, talked about him a little bit. What about that? John Antonino surprises us here in the booth, and I'm sure he surprised Asen Dramalev as well in a turn 3. Gutsy move by John Antonino to get through for the second spot. He finds himself now with a good lap, a little bit of breathing room. So the technical car behind, and his own teammate Landon Boer. Don't think Dramalev's going to be close enough, but for Benham Abernathy, what a heat race to pull away from the field. Hasn't looked back. He puts himself with a good finishing spot in heat race number 1, wins the heat in KA Junior. Antonino across the line second. Asen Dramalev, Landon Boer, Isaac Nolan, your top 5.
Tell you what, that is far from the first time we've seen Antonino pull a move out of nowhere like that on the last lap, and that was timed perfectly. That was calculated. Just impressive stuff from John Antonino.
Impressive for sure there for John Antonino. A couple of more races set to come your way. I believe about 2 or 3 more. 1 more. How about we check on that before we give some false information here, Kyle? Still got 206 Masters set to come your way. We just finished with KA Junior. What do we got? What's the word?
Yeah, 1 more. We have 206 Masters coming up. And then later tonight we've got the cookout.
Oh, cookout tonight. How about some let's give a little love here to the bouncy houses. This is great to see as well. Just on the right-hand side of your screen, we'll see if Hunter's up there, up and active. See if you can give us a look. There's Hunter. Appreciate that, Hunter. Just right behind. You can get a little glimpse of it with the Briggs and Stratton Motorplex. There you go. There you go. How about you going to be hopping in the bouncy houses later on today?
Only if you will.
I'm scared of heights. Pass. But yeah, I mean, this is a pretty busy paddock here this weekend. Wow, that actually gets high up there. Yep. No, thank you. Bouncy houses out there. You know, that'd be kind of fun to get in and good. Some brats, maybe.
Some brats. Yeah.
Big brats guy. How do you season a brats? How do you? I
don't know. Actually, yesterday was my first time cooking
ketchup,
brats.
maybe some mayo on there.
And our producer Riley will tell you they weren't great. Like I did not do a great job at my first try at brats. But you know, a brat is a brat. As we see beautiful Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin here in Road America. But obviously the cookout, everything. I mean, that's the Route 66 Sprint Series, USPKS, the 2 series where we do the cookouts throughout the weekend. Just the family-friendly atmosphere that these series bring, I think, is something that is a highlight of these events.
Hey, that being said, no cutting in line today. I don't want to see none of that funny business. No cutting in line. You know, have some respect out there. All of us are hungry, I think, after a long day of racing. That being said, I'm sure these guys are going to want to get in line ASAP after they're done with their last heat race here. Lucas Rennick, McKeon Grathwell, row number 1, Scott Hamble, Buddy Daly on row number 2, Julia Noel, and Costner Kaminsky on row number 3. Last race on this beautifully, amazingly awesome Saturday afternoon.
It's beautiful outside here in Road America.
What's better than a Saturday afternoon at a go-kart track?
That's the great commentator Bob Varsha should take credit for Schmazel.
What about thoughts on turn 2? What a move on the inside, the 627. Caught me by surprise. Costner Kaminsky almost through on Julia Noel. That would have been a send and a half. And just pumped the brakes a little bit. Slowed her way down. Now looking into turn number 2. Looking on the inside. Has some help from Buddy Daly. Going to get through that time on turn 2. Julia Noel side by side. Wheel-to-wheel contact. And Buddy Daly just, they lost all momentum there, unfortunately.
You know, we sound like a broken record when the Masters go out and talking about that. These guys, you know, they feel it more when they, you know, going over curbs and they when they make contact. I mean, the little kids. You know, when we were younger, like, you know, you fall down, get up, you're built out of rubber at that point. When you're in the Masters class in your 30s and 40s, you feel it. You know, you have to go to work on Monday.
Not too long ago, I'm not sure, but there was a post on Facebook on, you know, the requirements to race in a Masters class, and a couple of the requirements were, you know, you got a wrench on your own. You got a wrench on your own stuff. You got to pit out of the back of a truck with a ease sometimes, right? Because he's showing that experience, his time, his you know, his feedback or his advice. You know, he knows what he's saying when he's going out there and putting in the work throughout heat races, and these guys are racing at a very high level at, you know, in prestigious racetracks all across the U.S. So I think, to me, that's the coolest thing to see, with these drivers kind of going back and forth. For Scott Hamble as well, this is a huge point haul for him this weekend, with a good number of competitors not joining us here after round number 1. But even then, I'm sure Hamble's going to enjoy this one.
Yeah, for sure. He just went purple a few laps ago before Lucas Rennick took it back. Gap is now up to 2.4 seconds between Rennick and Hamble last time by.
How about this? We got to move for second. Grothwell looking for a move. He gets clear on that OTK Oats DD machine. Scott Hamble falling back to third. Back to Costner Kaminsky, Buddy Daly, and Julia Noel. Your 6 drivers here in 206 Masters. Presented by Greyhound in the official seat of Kart Chaser. Kyle, we've seen Henry without a go-kart. We've seen you with only a Greyhound.
Yeah.
Is that the difference?
I mean, yeah. The difference is, you know, if you have a Greyhound, it doesn't matter if you have a go-kart. You know, you're still faster.
The real question is, you know, who is Kyle Cuthbertson?
I don't know. I have no idea. Yeah. Yeah. I think hopefully Austin Garrison knows.
I'm sure he'll find out on episode number 2 when that comes out later on this year. For those of you watching on at home, feeling in the spending mood, don't forget to order your Micron 6 today over at shopakr.com, the official partner of Kart Chaser. Order that Micron 6. A couple of new features to that. I believe has some Bluetooth and a couple of other new gadgets. I honestly haven't tried, but they're starting to look more like iPhones, I think, the Microns, I would say. It's quite interesting. I mean, technology's evolving, right? So are the Microns.
Caleb, I don't know about you, but I started on a Micron 4.
I had a Micron 4 as well. Kind of started off on that. I mean, people still use the Micron 4s nowadays. I've heard from some people, you know, when we started racing, our very own Simon Sykes started on a Micron 3. That's something. Old Stone Age, I guess you can call it, right? The Micron 3. Then the Micron 5 came out just recently, and then the Micron 6. I think when the Micron 7 comes out, we'll probably be able to make phone calls on it, eh?
It's on Instagram and Facebook. And if you don't already, make sure you follow Kart Chaser on Instagram. That's at kart.chaser on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter.
I think we also have a Discord out there for some of you who want to join. Got the latest news. Join KC Insider as well. Kart Chaser Kids out there for the kiddos. Kart Chaser Grassroots this weekend. Kart.chaser for all the national racing action across the U.S. when we come back here in 2 weeks' time for the United States Pro Kart Series, round number 3. And the return, but what a weekend, right? Talk about Friday the 13th, Elkhart Lake.
Caleb, I still can't believe it's your first time here at Elkhart Lake.
My first time, just it's a long. I'm not gonna say it was. I think in the plans to come up here until I started working for this amazing company.
It should have been.
But I mean, now I see what I was missing out on all this time.
I think when we came here the first year we started streaming in 2022, we had so much fun. You know, this area is just great. This it's so beautiful, and the last 2 years without it on the calendar, we've really missed it. And when we saw it going into this season, we really, I think all of us had it circled this time of year, end of June, to spend this time in Road America. I mean, the timing also works out perfectly, you know, with IndyCar next weekend, going into the USPKS round. Now, I'm not staying the whole way. I will be going home to Indianapolis, but throughout the weekends, the next 3 weeks, this racetrack will basically be our home.
Yeah, I mean, we'll be based out of here. You see the KCRV, a production trailer out here for 3 weeks' time. You camping out of it during the IndyCar weekend, Cop?
Yeah, we'll be, me and producer Riley will be out here shooting the IndyCar races, camping, grilling some brats, having a good time. That's what it's all about, the racetrack. You know, summers are meant for being camped at racetracks, you know.
Not sure I'm a big camping guy. I mean, I think I'd probably be more into the RV solid camping than a tent on the ground. Kind of scared of bugs. I don't know if there's any bears out here either. I wouldn't be a fan of that. Any mountain lions out here, Kyle?
No. No. As we see back on the action, Lucas Rennick, I believe.
Pylon hasn't updated yet, so we'll get a fix on that.
This is the white flag. We're coming to the checker this time.
Yeah, this time by. Checkered flag in the air for the 601 of Rennick. Hasn't put a foot wrong all race. Checkered flag in the air. Flawless. In heat race number 1 in 206 Masters, presented by Greyhound. For those of you who joined us here on this beautiful Saturday afternoon on the return to the Briggs and Stratton Motorplex, it's been a pleasure to join you on something I've been looking forward to since 3 o'clock in the morning this morning to get out here just at noon, Cabo. What an opening day. What an opening weekend to the return of U.S. karting.